Okay.
Had my
It says it's working on your live stream. Okay, hold on. It says we're live. Wow, did it do it? Hold on, I'm not seeing any video though. Oh, I see video. I think we are live to the internet. It says end stream, so it did auto start the stream like it was supposed to, even though, OBS Studio lied and said something went wrong and we're not streaming, even though we're totally streaming right now.
There it is. Hey!
We're here! We're here! How's it going, guys?
Alright, tuck this up just a little bit.
I'm going to turn you up just a little bit over here, too.
A little more.
Alright. Always with the last minute. That's what we are. We're the last minute brigade up in this place.
Yeah, that's better.
So, hello everybody. Welcome to Tech Talk, episode, I think 22. Is it 22? Yeah, that's a lot of episodes we've done, man.
That's awesome.
Today is the 4th of July, otherwise known as Independence Day if you live in the United States of America. It's a day for us to blow stuff up and make a lot of noise and scare our neighbors' animals. And
the vets nearby with PTSD.
Yep, exactly. To celebrate our independence from that evil country that lives under the crown.
Those dirty Brits.
those dirty UK citizens trying to oppress us and keep us from blowing stuff up and owning guns and all that other bad stuff people hate.
Yeah.
So we hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I just woke up like a half an hour ago, but that's usually how I like to do Tech Talk. I wouldn't want to come in here overly fresh or anything. So, how are you? Did you what time did you wake up?
Good. About 8:30. But I didn't really get out of bed until 9 or so.
Ooh. I actually, surprisingly, I kind of lied a little bit because I did wake up somewhat early. I woke up around 7:30 a.m. and my back hurt so damn bad I couldn't get back to sleep. So I just started chugging coffee and had some breakfast. And actually, I think I feel a little bit better for it. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Demisun said, "Wait, you are
what happened?
Pretty good." Wait.
What happened? How come I'm little?
Well, what'd you do?
I'm getting littler.
Did you push something on your side?
No, I haven't done anything. I shrunk up into the corner. I'm gone.
Uh-oh, what's going on here? Hold on. Oh, you just disappeared entirely.
Yeah, totally gone.
This isn't... Okay, I've never had this problem. Hold on here. Okay, hold on. Let's see. That was weird. Okay, so hold on. Let me pull you back in again here. Let's see. Active speaker.
And apparently I'm echoing.
It says we're both echoing really bad. Can you pull up the audio on the stream and just see what's going on? Yeah. I don't know why we'd be getting an echo because I'm not showing any echo here on the inputs.
Yeah, it's super robot.
It's robot?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on here.
Both of us.
Both of us are robotic. Okay, this is not good. So did NDI just crap the bed then? Hold on here. Let's see.
And for some reason, I hear... And it's probably my problem.
I got you back in a little... You're like a little guy still up there in the corner. What the hell happened? Hold on here. Let me...
most of the audio out of my right headphone.
Okay, something is really, really messed up right now.
Yeah, robot speaking through a can. You're better.
So I'm better, but you're not. So this has got to be... There's some NDI thing going on here. Let me kill NDI and restart it. Hold on. Let me reboot the NDIs, if it'll let me do it here. All right, here. Audio video settings. I want to go down to... Where's advanced? There's no advanced settings. This is not good. Hold on. Of course this happens today. Of course. Okay, let me go into... Okay, calling.
Hello?
Advanced. I can hear you just fine. Okay, hold on.
That sounds good.
I'm re-enabling NDI. Hold on, stand by. Okay, so NDI is now re-enabled. Let's see. Okay, so I'm moving. Go ahead and give me some movement.
I'm going to give some movement.
Okay,
Hello? Movement.
I got no movement from you. Stand by. Let me see if I can bring you in again. Let's see, active speaker. Highest allow hardware acceleration. Hit OK. And
do you have like an effect on your mixer or something?
I might.
Your audio is like a reverb.
Hold on. Wait, hold on here. Okay, is that better? Check. Testing.
No, but yours sounds like deliberate. Yours is like an effect.
Okay, well I just turned off all the effects on my mixer board. And usually if my effect's enabled, I hear it through my headphones. So does it still sound bad?
That's so weird. It's like a... Yeah.
What the hell is going on here? Like your whole window like rescaled inside of Skype for some reason. So I don't really know why. I'm trying to fix that right now. How do you sound on the stream? Because you sound perfect to me. Like the audio coming through Skype is perfect.
It's poor quality, but it's like what you'd expect from when somebody calls into like a news.
Skype should
be better than that. How when they'll interview somebody over the phone.
Right. Yeah. This is not good. All right. Well,
yours is definitely like 2 audio at the same time.
Okay, hold on. Let me look through my audio stack here and see if something's check. Oh, hold on here. Oh, I found it. Hold on. Kill. Check. Okay, try now.
That's it.
That was it?
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, it looks like when I pulled in Skype, it decided to create its own audio source in the stack inside of OBS for some reason. God damn it, now you just blew up full screen again. Like,
and now I'm big. Hey,
you know what I think's happening?
Show. Hey, everybody, what's up?
I think I know what's happening here. I think what's happening is the bandwidth is changing. And as the bandwidth changes, it's changing the size of your preview. And we never had it do a bandwidth change like in the middle of the call. So this is bizarre. Let me see if I can get this to work, though. Can we pull this down?
But it shouldn't change the whole like the whole viewport size.
No, it shouldn't. There's something majorly fuckered up here. I'm trying to real-time debug, guys. Hang with us here as everybody's just joining us. We are attempting to, like we do every week on Tech Talk, just random technical issues that we have to solve. And then of course we're having to use OBS because we wanted you guys to be able to see the notifications for the super chats. So we went back to OBS.
It's me.
What is it? OBS, not OBS Studio. OBS Streamlabs OBS. Slobs. We went back to slobs. Okay, so dude, we're gonna give people motion sickness.
One of these times we got to do like oh, hang on, it's super weird hearing myself on a delay. Like on an off day.
Yep.
We'll just sit down and like get everything dialed in, and then like save it as a template or something, or like a separate set of scenes on OBS, and then we can just be like, okay, we're gonna only use this, and we'll click this particular. Like, because you can have different, like I have a different setup for build streams versus gaming streams.
Yep.
And you can switch between them. They're like different templates or something.
This is so weird. So now here's an interesting thing. I actually have you set up as the active speaker now. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. I got a water delivery. I've actually got you set up as the active speaker, yet when I start speaking and it takes over, it doesn't switch to me, which is actually a good thing because that would screw up what we're trying to do right now.
Yeah, okay.
But that's a bug in itself, right? Because it should like when I talk, I should take over your window.
Yeah. So. Well, and like I still don't see myself on our Skype call. Like it's just you. So I don't know what's going on.
So wait a second, did that seriously not fire the notification? What the hell?
Nope.
Lord Zero just did a $10 super chat. He said, "Start this right for my brothers." Thank you so much, Lord Zero. Why didn't it bring up the notification?
I don't know.
That was weird because the notifications were just working. Like even when I started the stream, it was like before we started the stream, I was getting notifications. Oh, hey, what's up, babe? Oh, sorry, you just scared me, honey. I thought you dropped water and I thought you left. No, she was sitting here hovering over my shoulder watching. I didn't know she was here.
It just popped up on the YouTube. Lord 10-0
donated.
It did.
Okay, good.
Through super chat. Woo!
Sorry, I thought you left. So it freaked me the hell out.
I was just going to tell you that AuxxZillary was like fading away. And then you put him back up in the corner. And he was just like this little guy. It reminded me of like, when we go, oh, he's just a guy.
Yeah. Thank you, honey. Oh my god, that scared the hell out of me. Sorry about that, guys. I'm a little off my game today. Just so it doesn't come as a surprise to anybody. I had to cancel my stream yesterday because I was super duper depressed. I'm having to get back into therapy more often because I'm pretty screwed up. So just hang with me this week, guys, please. This is just something I got to get through. Dante, thank you for the £5. He said, "Hey guys, looking forward to the stream. What topics are you going to talk about today? Aren't anything to do with the descriptions." What?
No.
So yeah, no, we'll talk about whatever. We just put stuff in the title just to get people to come watch. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to talk about it. Would you say that's right, AuxxZillary?
Oh, sure.
It's total just clickbait. Like that's not what we're really going to talk about, guys. Like, come on, you know it's better than that.
We need some trolls to come in here. Some bacon kid with 43 subs on his YouTube. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be like that.
No, that was the best thing you'd ever did last week. I was laughing so hard because you were just like, it was one of those things where it's like you could tell it was just like the guy just gave you the perfect opportunity and in just to kind of make an example, and I was like, oh man, I was about ready to go make some popcorn. It was great.
I shouldn't do that though. I want to be a better.
Don't you dare apologize. That was amazing. That was amazing.
That's the path that leads to Keemstar. Okay.
Oh, dude, don't say that name.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's Voldemort. Voldemort to the internet.
You start down. It's little baby steps, and then suddenly you're a drama channel, and I don't want to do that.
Well, thank you for making me a better person. I appreciate it. Because that's all you got to say, man. If you want to shut me down and get me to stop talking about something drama, just mention Keemstar.
Yeah. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Man. What starts off as just funny, haha, picking on trolls in the chat, and now you're, people killing themselves and stuff, and we don't want that.
Oh, don't. I actually agree with that. I don't want to agree with that, but I do agree with that because it is true. And I'm a shining example of that because the internet gets to me all the time. Hey, C Mopar W, thank you for the $5. Said test. This is a test. Love and happy 4th. This is just the tech forcing itself into Tech Talk. I know, Trent. This should be like a requirement of any tech stream. Like when you start up, the first 15 minutes at least should be just troubleshooting and fixing stuff.
I mean, we did that. We kept that pretty short. Like we're only really 11 minutes into the stream or so, and we're on top of it. So that was nice.
I agree. I'm actually going to go add a filter to my audio here really quick. Where's the noise? I need to add a noise suppression filter. Where is it? Noise suppression. Add that. And there we go. Are we good now? Okay. So I had a bunch of background noise. It was literally like peaking half the meter. So I'm sure everyone can hear. Because I've got like 8 fans pointed at me right now. I got a fan on my desk pointed at me. I got a fan on the floor pointed at me. I got a fan under my desk pointed at me. My air conditioner going. I'm running hot today. I'm running really hot. Not the good kind of hot either. Like it's that moist, dank hot. You know what I'm talking about. Ugh. All right. Well, now that I suppose that we got this these technical issues figured out, it looks like the audio and the video is working pretty good this week. So
yeah, it seemed all right. Here, I'm gonna turn Skype down and turn the YouTube back on. Okay. To see how things are going there.
It actually looks like when I'm talking, I'm not ducking YouTube ad either this week. Actually, not at all. Here, go ahead and say something. I'm talking. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, no,
blah,
it seems
blah,
all right.
Blah, blah, blah.
Actually, you seem a little quieter than me.
It's fixed. We fixed it, bro.
Yeah, it's great.
Here, actually, I'm a little.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna keep talking, and you talk, and I talk, and
oh my god, we can both talk now, and it's full duplex.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it when problems just solve themselves. Yay! Oh my god! And the crowd goes wild. Dude, we have been fighting this, you guys, for 22 shows. Trying to get it to where I don't stomp on AuxxZillary when he's talking because of the delay. And now you can actually talk when I'm talking. And now
the best part is though we have no idea what actually fixed it.
Nothing. We didn't even do anything even in the vicinity of fixing this problem. It just magically sorted itself out. All right, Tech Talk is live. All right, and we fixed the ducking issue without even trying. All right. A lot of people have been wondering, like, if we were ever going to fix that.
Yeah,
they're like, man, it's so hard every time Barnacules talks. It like quiets you down, and then we don't get to hear what you have to say. And I'm like, I'm not doing it on purpose.
I bet it's in part because I'm the primary talker on Skype.
Oh, please remember that. So next time you call me, you always call me, because I bet you're right. I bet you with some setting that I have with me calling you, it's doing the ducking thing.
Yeah.
So here, I'm just, guys, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just sharing everything out because I forgot to share that we're live to like half the internet since YouTube doesn't send notifications to anybody anymore.
If you're on Instagram and follow me, check out my story. I made a quick little graphic for Tech Talk on Instagram story.
Oh, you did?
I did. But I don't have enough followers to like make it a swipe up link. So it's just, you'll have to figure it out on your own kind of a deal.
Well, here, let me go check it out. So Instagram.com/ are you AuxxZillary over there too?
I am. Yes.
Okay, hold on here. I'm pulling you up. Okay, so, and it's your story?
Yep.
Okay, how the hell do you watch a story through the browser? Because I can see your posts, but I don't see stories. Like, how do I see a story on here? Okay, so posts.
Click on my logo next to my name.
Okay, I got it. Oh, I got it. Oh, nice.
You like that?
Look at that, dude. How do I steal that? Here.
I'll send you the.
Yeah, send me the actual image because I'll go ahead and I also like how you put with AuxZillary and Barnacules. I get second billing because you make the graphic. You dirty whore. Hey, all's fair.
It's alphabetical.
All's fair. We will use that graphic verbatim. I love it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
I actually just noticed too. It's because you're A and I'm B. It's like alpha beta, dude.
Yeah, alphabetical.
That's kind of cool. I like it. Yeah. No, leave it that way. That's good. No, that's cool. I like that graphic. You just whipped that up this morning?
Yeah. I've had it for a little while. I only just actually used it today.
Put a link to it in chat so people can go and check that shizzle out.
Oh yeah. Just it's Instagram.com/AuxZillary.
Yeah, because we're too lazy to set up a scene where they can actually see the screen capture, and I've only got one scene that captures the center screen, and of course that's what I set everything up on, and I dare not move it during a live stream because it'll just screw everything up. You know what's funny? I just hovered over your graphic and it pops up with an annotation that says "crying face." I think it thinks there's like an emoji graphic menu there or something, but when I hover over your video, it says "crying face."
That's weird.
I don't know why. I think what it is, you know, when you hover over the emoji, like the little emoji thing down at the bottom of the video, the crying face is up at the top. So, but if you make the thing go away and I just hover over it still thinks the menu's there. So it says crying face when I'll have to take a screenshot of it and send it to you. It's pretty funny. I'm like, crying face? Like, what'd I do now? What'd I do to make AuxZillary all sad? Other than exist. All right, here, let me close some of this stuff down. I got a lot of... Okay, so Microsoft... admits... Okay, I'm just making sure I got all the tabs open. All right, guys. Well, this is the official start of the show then. Let's go ahead and just officially start right now. Derek G, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, hey, love the live stream, but you got any videos planned? It's been a while. I've got like 20 or 30 videos planned. The reason that they haven't been made is literally because I have been just like completely depressed off my ass and having a hard time even getting out of bed these days. So I'm working on that first, then the videos. But yeah, there's a lot of videos in the queue. There's an e-bike review with a mid-drive that can like pull 350 pounds up a hill, which I'm looking forward to doing. I got the Ring doorbell installation. I got the Sense follow-up. I've got about 20 product reviews. I mean, it's I got 3D printers that all need to be plugged in and make stuff again, and about 100 pounds of plastic. Like I got lots of stuff I could be doing. First things first though, I got to figure out how to get through this clutter because my house is like destroyed. Like I could be on an episode of Hoarders Buried Alive right now. Like literally there's just piles throughout my house. There's just piles and it's all my fault. Like it's just been, things haven't been getting put away. Well, you can probably sympathize with me a little because you just moved, right? So you know what it's like to just have piles and piles of stuff that's like not put away and not like.
Thankfully, I've on my own personal side, like I've moved around a lot, especially when I was kind of younger and in my 20s. So I've gotten used to like condensing and I don't have I like to say that I don't have much of an attachment to my material goods. But I do have like that sort of, not to be stereotypical, but like it's almost like a poor person compulsion to collect things.
Oh, I'm
like
the same
just
boat.
In case.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so I struggle with that. Like I like to collect, especially like kitschy shit, just like things that I don't really need or have use for.
Retro stuff. I've collected so much retro stuff that it's like I haven't even plugged it in since I bought it.
Yeah.
Like I probably have 20 game consoles that I've maybe plugged in one out of the 20 that I have. Like I don't even know if they work, honestly. I've got an full Apple IIe in box. I've got, which is the first computer I ever learned to program on. That's why I bought it. But I haven't even taken that. It's still in the same sealed box. I bought it from some dude like 5 years ago, and it's still in the same sealed box. So it'd probably be worth a little bit of money now. I also have a full Commodore 64 setup. I have a Texas Instrument TI-99-4A, which is their like Commodore 64 knockoff. So I've got quite a few like retro systems and everything, dude, all just sealed up in boxes in like my attic in my shed. And it just, and I just, everything else, like all my electronics, like people think that like when, I get tired of my electronics, I just sell them. And it's like, I give away a lot of it. Well, like, as you know, I've given you some stuff too, but it's like, I give away a lot of the stuff that I don't use, but it's like, I don't want to hassle with selling it, or I look at it, especially if it's like cables and stuff that you'll never use again. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I know the second I get rid of that cable, I'll be looking for it tomorrow. So then what I do is I just hang on to that cable until the end of time. So I have a box somewhere around here that probably has probably close to 100 pounds of cables in 2 5-gallon bins. Probably 100 pounds of cables that I haven't touched in over 10 years.
Wow.
Like I could literally just flip them over and just dump them into the recycling bin or the garbage or PC recycle in. I'd never miss them, but every time I think about doing it, I instantly think, "Oh my god, though, I could tear those cables apart and use the individual wires inside of them for like projects, and I could take this and I could make something out of it." I never do though. I never do.
Yeah.
So
I totally understand that though. Yeah.
It's so frustrating, dude. It's so frustrating. Hey Dante, thank you for that 5 pounderoos, buddy. We sure appreciate it. Yeah.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes, please do.
Grab the alert box. Bring it forward 1 layer, because like the longer names get hidden, because it puts it on 3 or 4 lines, and it was behind our video.
So let's see. Okay, so I got the chat box. I got the bar. What's the bar? The bar's at the bottom. I got the jar in the corner.
It should be labeled alert box or something like that.
Okay, let me look here. So viewer count, donation ticker. I don't even know where that is. Event list. Alert box. I got it. Okay, so you want me to bring the alert box to the front?
Yeah, bring it forward. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, just bring it.
Hold on here. Yeah. I'll bring it all the way to the top. That way I can just go right over the top of us.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, problem solved. Did you also see my fancy little firework that I added?
I like the fireworks. That's really cute. Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Oh shoot! Now I made it all like, God, the scaler sucks so bad.
It's really not good.
So bad. Like here, let's see. Can we get multiple fireworks? Can I do Control V and Control C? Like just paste it and move it. Oh, look at that! It worked. Oh, so I can put like 1 here. Hold on, I'm just doing stupid stuff now. Okay, so can I put let me paste another one. Oh, look at this. Look at all these fireworks that I got. I got triple fireworks now. This is fancy. And I just realized that our windows aren't perfectly symmetrical.
Oh, it's fine.
No, it isn't. I'm just kidding.
This is what we do on an off day.
I know. This is what we do on an off day. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, there we go. That's the extent to which I'm going to screw with it. There you go. Now we got fireworks. We got 3 fireworks. One that's just going off over us, though. Here, let me move that one down. There we go. Is that fancy? Does that feel festive? Are you not entertained?
Oh, that is nice.
Are you not entertained? Nice. That is beautiful. I feel like the only thing I wish is that you could like stagger the start of them, because you notice how they're all like perfectly in sync.
Right.
Like it'd be cool if I don't know. Can I just like stop one and then restart it? Like hold on here.
There may be some sort of property in there you can fiddle with it.
Yeah, it's just they just loop together. They probably have an engine that starts and stops all the animated graphics at the exact same time. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. Hold on. Oh god, I'm gonna mess this name up. Oh, by the way, Dante. Sorry, I didn't see Dante's message before. It said, "Hey, dude, if you ever need motivation, hit me up. Love supporting you too. I'm still furloughed and have been told I'm furloughed for the foreseeable future." Is furlough mean you've just been like laid off with like you can come back? Is that like you're laid off until the business starts and then you can come back? I keep hearing that word thrown around, but I don't think I quite understand what it means.
Yeah.
Can somebody in chat explain to us like what furlough means exactly? Because I know that Disney like furloughed, but they said they furloughed a bunch of people and then they like laid them off. So I was like, wait, so they were furloughed, they never had the option to come back, and then they turned to lay off. Like, how is that furloughed then? Like, it seems like if they were furloughed, they'd have to be allowed to come back, and then they would be like let go after that. It's so stupid. Hey, Kieran, how's it going, man? Thank you for the 7 Canadian dollars. He said, "What's up, guys? You know, the sky, the fireworks." I didn't get any fireworks. Did you get any fireworks?
No,
Damn, dude. I feel like I need to get some fireworks, and maybe I'll do that after the stream. Maybe I'll drive up to the little place and do a little cash haggling.
Here we go. A furlough is a mandatory temporary leave of absence from which the employee is expected to return to work or to be restored from a reduced work schedule. Oh, so you're being told to take a few days off. You're forced to take days off.
Oh, okay. Is it paid or unpaid?
Unpaid.
Oh, it's unpaid? One guy up here said that it was paid, but maybe it's per job. Maybe like some jobs.
It could be.
Yeah, like some pay on leave. But it sounds to me like you're not fired, though. Like furloughed means you're still an employee of the company. You're still a representative of the company. We're just not going to give you any money or make you do anything until we can come back, basically. It's like putting a halt on it.
Yeah, it's like mandatory days off kind of thing. Temporary leave of absence.
My gosh. Hey, Team Brony, my man, thank you for the $3 super chat. We appreciate all that support. He said, "I got a Solaris Sunfire 280R. I'm super pumped." Do you know what a Solaris Sunfire 280R is?
Nope.
I don't
Sounds
even,
cool, though.
That's 280R sounds familiar to me, though. Like what? Here. Hold on. To the Bing machine. What is a Solaris Sunfire? Wait, is it some kind of barbecue? Oh no. Okay, never mind. It's okay. So it's a Sun server. Okay, so like Sun Microsystem server. Wow, you can buy a big ass like 4-blade Sun Microsystem server for $127 on eBay. But aren't the Sun servers though like a weird architecture? Aren't they like MIPS or something like that? Like I guess you could run Linux on it. I don't know what else you'd do with it though, honestly. Let's see, Mr. Booberry said fireworks are fun as fuck. Yeah, they are.
Hell
yeah, dude. The thing is, I was scared of fireworks as a kid because my dad used to throw like, firecrackers and M80s and stuff at me. And I got injured a couple of times. So like as a kid and a teenager, I was scared to death of fireworks. And to be honest, I'm still scared of the big ones. Like you're not going to catch me like lighting, artillery shells and stuff like that. But I like sparklers and like the little boom booms on the ground and stuff like that. You know what the most scary firework to me is though, out of all of them?
What's that?
The Saturn missile battery.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
With like 100 missiles coming out at like 50 a second, and you buy those big huge packs. They're like you can buy them in bricks, so you can get them like up to I think like 1,000 of them. And oh my god, I had one 4th of July when I was a teenager. I know I was at least 16 because I was driving. I went to my friend's house and his dad set off one of those in the middle of the yard. Well, a barbecue was going on, and none of us knew. It was like during the day, so it wasn't at night, so we couldn't even see where they were going because in the daytime they're not even visible. And all you hear is, and I start getting like pelted with them, and I had like 2 burn holes like through my shirt, and everybody's like ducking for cover, and somebody ran into the sliding glass door and almost busted through it like the Kool-Aid guy. It was terrible, man. It was absolutely terrible. So I'm scared to death of those things. Like I'd rather be next to an artillery shell going off than those damn Saturn missile batteries. I don't even know if they make them anymore.
I know they still make those squares. I don't know about 100, but I know that it's like it's got to be at least 100. But they're fairly small. It's maybe
it's just a little
4 inches on the side. Yeah,
God,
and it's like a grid of, and it's basically just they packed a bunch of like bottle rockets in there next to each other, just in a big grid.
Yeah, they're literally just missiles, man. Just like straight up missiles.
I love Roman candles.
Oh, Roman candles are good.
My brother and I will stand about like 50 feet apart and duel each other.
And just lob them at each other?
Yeah, he has a few burns because I'm a better aim than him.
Yeah, those things suck because they're burning hot when they hit you, dude.
Yeah, they are.
They're little balls of like plasma.
It's no joke.
I did. Luckily, it never happened to me, but I was next to somebody that had a Roman candle actually blow up in their hand.
Oh dang!
And it burned them pretty good, but it wasn't like terrible because the bottom half of the Roman candle was pretty much just packed with like wood fiber or something. But it was enough of a boom that it gave him like really, really severe burns on the top of his hand. But I was like standing not 6 feet away from him, and it's like thunk, thunk, and then it just goes bam, and the whole thing just explodes like a giant firecracker. And I was like, son of a bitch. I promptly was done after that. Oh my gosh, so scary. Let's see. Wow, we got a ton of support coming in today. Thank you guys. We appreciate
thank you guys very much.
Nick,
that's super great.
Yeah, Nick, thank you for that $5. You said in the new Windows update, you can use the Hyper-V and VMware workstation together on the same system now. I actually have a use for this new feature. I did not know that.
It's actually super cool. So this will actually be some interesting tech talk. I did a stream with Dr. Don Kinghorn at Puget Systems on last Friday, and he was showing off the new WSL2 that comes with the
Linux kernel, right? The Microsoft Linux kernel.
Yeah. It's coming soon. He's on the insider track, so he's got like the super beta Windows updates.
Yep.
I think it's supposed to be coming with the 2004 update.
Correct. That's the WSL2 comes in 2000 or 2004 build.
And the big cool thing is hardware pass-through. You have direct access to GPU now.
Wait, through Hyper-V?
Yeah.
Whoa,
yeah,
that's a big deal.
And he was showing off. It's super cool. He was geeking out. Super cool. Yeah. So Mr. Booberry, he's saying he's using WSL2 with Ubuntu 20.04 right now. Don was showing he was running. I think it was also Ubuntu 20.04. But then he grabs an NVIDIA Docker container that is Linux only. So like he's inside of his Ubuntu VM.
The VM, yep.
grabs this NVIDIA Docker container for TensorFlow and runs, and this is live. Like he's doing this while on a Zoom call with me while we're streaming, and does a full TensorFlow benchmark live on stream. And the cool thing is like,
wait, so he loaded a Docker container under the VM?
It's
or was it a Docker container running under Hyper-V?
It's in Hyper-V. I'm not sure how this all works. It was a little confusing to me, because it was inside of WSL. Like you run an instance of, and you can actually within WSL, or I might have this mixed up. Maybe it's Hyper-V with WSL, and I don't remember how it exactly works. But the cool thing was he was in Windows using WSL, running a Linux-only Docker container to do GPU compute task through TensorFlow.
Okay, that's pretty badass.
Yeah.
So what it sounds to me like he was doing was using so WSL2 is a little bit different than Hyper-V. Basically, Microsoft allows the Linux kernel to run native under Windows. So basically, you don't have to virtualize it anymore. It's basically like there's no emulation. It just runs their own Linux kernel. So that would have hardware pass through. Like that would specifically have because before they had to virtualize Linux. Now they don't. Now it's bare metal.
Yeah, it was a big deal now that you have direct access to the GPU. And I thought there was some mention of Hyper-V. Maybe it was some implementation of it or
I'm gonna have to check, because if Hyper-V allows hardware pass through, then I'd throw VMware away. Literally, the only reason I use VMware is because VMware has some hardware 3D acceleration. It's not even pass-through. It's just they have a driver that does some hardware acceleration. If I had pass-through where I could literally just like designate one of my GPUs to the VM, I would totally.
And that was it. That was it. Yeah. So Windows shows up as VM 0.
Okay.
And then
she's all trying to hide.
The Linux install is VM1 or whatever, and you could actually designate, like he was saying, if you had multiple GPUs, you could say this GPU for Windows, this GPU for the Linux install.
Yep. No, that's cool. I'm gonna try that out because hardware acceleration would be badass.
And it was like hardly.
I'm laughing because she's trying to avoid the camera, but she's like totally on camera.
You don't have to hide. You can see you.
Dude, she was straight up like Solid Snake, man. She was like creeping, man. I see the door crack open and I just see a back like cruising across the bottom of the screen. Oh, that was good. That was good. Oh my god.
What was I saying? Oh,
hardware acceleration under WSL2
with very minimal like performance loss. He hadn't done a direct comparison with like a full Linux install versus the WSL.
Yeah.
But it seemed to be dynamically allocating VM or video memory from the graphics card, depending on the size of the job. It had full access. It was super cool.
So the one thing I haven't tried is, well, and I'm not on 2004 yet. I've been putting it off intentionally because of some problems we're going to talk about here during the Tech Talk. But the one thing that I would love to do is to be able to run like one of the UIs, right? Like X11 or something like that under, I don't know what they call it. There's like 50 different UIs now, but X11 back when I was the big Linux guy. I'd like to run that UI under Windows and have hardware acceleration under that. That way I could run, graphical applications both under that and under Windows simultaneously.
Right.
And I have two graphics cards. I have two 2080. So because most of the stuff that I'm running doesn't support NVLink anyways.
Right.
It'd be cool if I could allocate one of those to the Linux environment and basically have two graphically heavy systems. Hell, I might even be able to run some of the rendering farms and stuff like that from other software under Linux that's more effective and more efficient, like server class applications. And so I think that's really cool. Plus, I could deploy it on my machine down here too, which is, old school William PC, who's got two Xeons in it, they could be, using that because for a server platform, like running Apache and stuff like that. Because even though I like ISS, I'm not a huge fan of it. Like IIS, Internet Information Services.
What do you got against the space station, man?
What's that?
What do you got against the space station?
No, yeah, I know, right? So So is it IIS or is it IIS? It's IIS. Sorry. See, my dyslexia is strong this morning because I didn't get much sleep. But yeah, Internet Informational Services is basically Windows version of Apache, right? It's their web server that supports .NET and Core and all that stuff. ASP.NET, if you've heard that. That's what runs
I like that one. Yeah.
So ASP, I like ASP.NET development, but I'm not a big fan of IIS. So I think under Apache, you can actually load a module to run .NET Core now. So you can actually run ASP.NET stuff now under Apache, which is very confusing, but I would rather do it there.
I have vague recollection of implementing. You had to, when doing ASP pages or ASP.NET pages, you had to implement Apache. There was a special line you had to like import some Apache stuff to make it work right.
Yeah. It's been a while since I played around in Linux, though.
Dude, that was high school. That was like my junior year of high school. I
think the last time I was serious, like the last time I seriously did anything under Linux was the video where Puget built my very first system. When they built William, I did a demo video on it. Well, you probably remember the one where I was in GTA.
I wasn't there.
Oh, that's right, you weren't. It was the one that came under scrutiny because I was like playing GTA 5 and like killing cops and picking up hookers and stuff while I was reviewing my Puget systems. John actually loved it, but somebody inside of the company wanted to like kill me for it. We both have an idea of who that was. Luckily, not an issue anymore. But anyways, one of the demos that I did in that was I loaded up VMware Workstation. And I was running multiple VMs. I was running like 4 different flavors of Unix and a flavor of Windows. And I was running 3D apps on all of them at the same time, spread across all 3 screens. And I was showing that, like, I was playing like Doom and like Unreal Tournament. I had a whole bunch of different games and apps up on the screen. They were all running like full speed.
That's cool.
And it was the coolest thing ever. But that was using VMware. So it was still very limited. You had to run stuff that was like DirectX 9 or older. But if you could pass through the graphics card, especially if you could pass it through to another Windows instance, you could, in theory, run like Forza if you wanted to, like Forza Horizon or Forza 7, right? As long as it's passing through bare metal and you got the graphics card, it should run DirectX 12, like no problem. Hey, Geekmoto, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, hey, Jerry, sorry to hear your depression is kicking your butt. I don't like fireworks at close range. I'm autistic, so that's a bad time for me. Zander's the same way. My son also has autism, and he does not like being close to the fireworks, and he doesn't like really loud noises. And but we usually just put some ear protection on him to drop the decibel levels way down, and then he loves the lights and the booms. He just doesn't handle stuff that's like super loud. Yeah. And as weird it is, he's 1,000 times better now because I've started jump scaring him. And this sounds like it's a torturous thing to do, but it's actually not. This is actually a very therapeutic thing to do. And what I do is whenever I see him and he doesn't see me, I'll just go, Zander! And I'll yell like really loud and really sharply, Zander! And I'll get him to like do it like a little jump scare. And I've been doing that to him for probably about 6 months. And now he barely flinches when I do it. So I'm curious to see how he does around fireworks now that I've acclimated him to it. I've acclimated to him sharp, loud noises when it's relative silence. And I had to do the same thing with autism therapy, the ABA therapy that I did. A lot of it was he didn't. A lot of people don't realize Zander did not like to be touched. You could not touch him for like the first like 2 years or 3 years of his life. If you touched his back, he would cringe as hard and he'd go, like you couldn't touch his back, you couldn't touch his chest, his arms, his shoulders. If you grabbed his hands, he pulled his hands away from you. He hated being touched. Like it looked like it caused him physical pain. And so one of the hardest things I ever had to do as a parent, one of my jobs was to basically hold him and force him to have some physical interaction. And over time, he acclimated to it. And now you can't get the kid off you. The kid just is a hugging machine. So it was really, really helpful. So now I'm trying to do the same thing with auditory. And he handles visuals pretty well. I don't think anything visually upsets him anymore where it used to. Like, bright sounds and flashing lights and stuff like that would be uneasy for him. That stuff doesn't bug him anymore. So I'm hoping the audio is like the final thing. If we can get him over the audio thing, then maybe take him out, watch some fireworks tonight without any hearing protection and listen, not up close. I'm not talking like exposing him to like high decibels, but even just the sound of like that deep boom off in the distance would make him concerned without hearing protection. So I'm curious to see how that goes tonight. We're just going to sit out and just watch fireworks in front of the house and, hold the hose so that my house doesn't get burned down. Because that happened like last year, man. There was like 2 houses caught fire around here because and I was like sitting out in the front yard and like artillery shells and stuff. You could hear them bouncing off of the roof of the house and like hitting the cars. like because there was a little bit of wind. So yeah, every 4th of July, I don't leave the house. I just stand out front with a garden hose and be prepared to play Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, let's see. Let's see. Oh, only Traffic TV or only Terrific TV? Sorry, my eyesight's failing me today. Love the show, Jerry and Ox. Great way to wake up. AuxxZillary needs the old background back. Oh, and FYI, Beard Game Strong. Dude, he can't have that background back. That's his new house.
It's gone. Yeah.
So I got a question for you. So I see, is your computer in your bedroom? Is that your bedroom right there?
So we're still in between. With the parents. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the new house is still being built. Probably won't finish till the end of September.
Oh, did the whole big C slow things down a little bit?
Yeah, by I think I want to say about like 5 weeks.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully that. I mean, you know what? This is the time to have it slow down though, because you do not want like exposed like construction material in the middle of winter.
Yeah. I mean, and it looks. It seems really far along, honestly. We went just I want to say it was last week or so.
Yeah.
It seems all framed up. It's all framed up. The plumbing, the basic plumbing at least seems pretty good. And so I don't know. I'm not sure, the usual.
It's probably inspections, dude. Inspections take forever.
Yeah. So it looks good. I mean, it's coming along. It's a house. Like we actually wandered around the skeleton of the thing, and you're like, okay, this is where this room is, and you can see there's like no drywall or anything, but you can totally tell like it's a house. Like this is where the door goes, and this is.
It doesn't even have drywall in yet.
No,
And they're telling you like 5 weeks.
No, it was delayed.
Oh, delayed. Yeah, because I was gonna say, dude, that's gonna be if it's at the drywall, if it's not even at the drywall stage, you're probably looking at closer to months.
They're estimating end of September.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, it's like 5 weeks delay. That makes sense because I was like, because just to put the sheetrock in the house, depending on the side of the house, I mean that's going to be a couple of weeks to do all the sheetrock. Yeah, it's not something that you just like bang out in a day. And usually when you do sheetrock work, depending on the construction company, they usually just have one or two dudes come in and do it. Like because they have so many projects going on, right? They could bring in like an entire crew and belt it out in like a day. Mm-hmm. But that's usually not how they do it because it's easier just to have the trucks bring, a load of rock at a time and every day just have two people unload and install. Because that's what I did. I did drywall that was the first OG job I had, dude, back in the day. And I wouldn't wish that job on anybody. But before they can do that, the electrician has to come in. And then once the electrician comes in, lays all the electrician, then they need the insulation guy to come in and do the fiberglass in the outer walls. Then they have to do the drywall, and then after they do the drywall, they have the hangers come in and put in the drywall. Then once they do the rough thing, then they have the tapers come in and tape and mud everything. And then after they tape and mud everything, then then they sand everything and scrape the floors. They have the guys come in and shoot the texture. And then once the texture's shot, then you have the guy come in and lay the carpet mat and do the carpet. I mean, it's literally like one stage after another because they can't work at the same time.
Yeah.
So each stage comes in and like finishes it, and then they come in, and then once they put the carpet down and they do all that, then you have to wait for the longest period, which is the freaking inspections.
Yep.
And it's because the inspectors are probably actually right now it might not be that bad just because construction slowed down so much. Mm-hmm. But like inspectors took forever. Like our house was done being built because we bought this house brand new too. It was actually finished when we came and toured it. And it was completely finished. It was done. Everything was good. Even the appliances were put in, everything. It was ready to go. And we're like, when can we move in? And they're like, a month. And I was like, why? Oh, because it still needed the inspector to come in. Then the inspector found some problems. They had to fix the problems. Then the inspector had to come in again. And then they have an inspector for electrical. They have an inspector come in for checking the roof and the water tightness and everything. There's like 5 inspectors that have to come in and clear your house for everything.
Yeah.
And the hardest one to pass is the freaking electrical. Because they come in and they basically like stick a probe in every single outlet, and if it doesn't pop an arc fault or something like that, then the electricians have to come in and like figure out, did we wire something wrong? Do we have to tear out drywall? If they have to tear out drywall, then they have to replace the panel, and they got to call the texture guy back in to fix it once they replace the panel. So it's like it can become like a nightmare thing if they're not really on their game. But the electricians usually, like if you have a good competent electrician, they'll test everything before the drywall guys come in.
Yeah, I do think. Yeah, I do think they're, in part because of the delay, I feel like they are like kind of not rushing, but they have like they're able to kind of work quicker, maybe kind of bang stuff out.
Yeah.
And this is like, it's a pretty reputable builder. They've built a bunch of houses in this neighborhood kind of thing before.
Do you know the name of the? Can you say the name of the builder?
Yeah, Brookstone.
Okay, Brookstone's not that bad actually. Like,
yeah, they seem pretty good.
Yeah, my house was built by shoot, why can't I remember now all of a sudden? Yeah, you don't want a house. I'll have to tell you guys who built my house when I remember. It's literally, they have like the worst reputation. Like if I had known this, I wouldn't have bought the house.
Yeah.
Like these people have the worst reputation for building houses, and the biggest thing that they do that's wrong is they buy all the materials from auctions. So like I didn't notice when I moved into my house that like one of the bathrooms had an oval toilet, the other bathroom had like an oblong toilet, like all different toilets throughout the house,
That's
all different fixtures. And at first you think about it and you're like, oh, they're just trying to like, you know, make the style different in each room. And then you realize that no, they're just buying all this crap at auctions that just didn't sell, like shitty toilets and shitty sinks and shitty mirrors. And it's like, so everything after like, you know, living here for, well, granted, we've been here for a long time. We've been here for like 18 years, but still in like 18 years, they've had to replace a skylight because it wasn't bolted down. I've had to replace all the toilets in the house in 18 years. I've had to fix the HVAC system like 3 times myself because there's no way in hell I was paying for that. And one of the guys was like, we have to replace the whole thing. And I was like, no, I went on eBay and spent like $1.50 and fixed it. So I'm like constantly working on this place, and we keep finding issues like the way the floor was built. Yeah. Where the boards come together, they're supposed to make sure that all the boards where they come together at the seam, that there's actually a beam, right? So I noticed walking around on the floor, you know, as years went on and on and on, there's places on the floor where you feel the floor sinking a little when you step on it. And you're like, what the hell's going on here? So I go under the house and I'm crawling around. This is like, I don't know, about 150 pounds ago. I'm under the house and I'm crawling around. I'm looking at it. They just have boards just overhang, like completely missing the beam and overhanging by like 12 inches.
Jeez.
So instead of cutting the wood like they were supposed to come in and cut the sheets of the board so that each seam would come to the stud. Yeah. Going through the floor, or I should call it the beam, right? Going through the floor to the beam. And they didn't. They just laid down like the 8 foot so that they only had to cut one at the end. And by doing that, they left a bunch of overhangs. And as you walk on it, the wood wears over time. And the wood starts getting flimsier and flimsier and flimsier. And then pretty soon the carpet ends up being the bridge to keep you from like going through the floor. And right. So the only way to fix it now is I have to go under, like I have to tear all the carpet out of the house. I have to go under, and then I have to take and put these steel mesh braces between the boards and run screws up through the boards and then cut the heads off the screws before they put down the new carpet padding. Jeez. And I got to do that in like 20 places in the house because like everything's like creaking. But I could not believe they did that because I was like, how did that pass inspection? Like, did the inspector not go under the house? Like, was he so lazy? He just looked at the top and walked around. He's like, oh, this looks okay. Put some carpet in. But just weird mistakes like that. And I talked to my neighbors because this entire housing development was built by the same person. And God, why can't I remember the name? Miss Barnacules, if you're watching, come tell me what the name of because I don't want anybody to ever have to buy a house from these people. And overall, it's settled okay, but there's a lot of fat seams and stuff like that where you can tell, you know, some of the boards swelled because, you know, they built wood construction and then just let it get completely waterlogged and then didn't let it properly dry out before they put the drywall in because they rushed it. Because you're supposed to do that. If you frame a house and it rains and it's super humid, you're supposed to have it dry out. You're supposed to give it a period of time to dry out before you start putting stuff in, because what happens is the wood will contract really hard. And so our house started like settling really, really hard when we first moved into it. And then we fixed a bunch of it. 10 years later, you know, you're supposed to do another patch and fix it up. And now we're like at 18 years and the house is still settling after 18 years. And it's like, come on, dude, it should have been done after 10. It's like, oh my God, why? But I'm still very happy to have the house, and you know, houses are good investments. Even shitty houses are good investments, honestly.
Right, stay warm and cozy at least,
dude. Warm and cozy, and I mean it's good. It's well insulated and everything. Like the insulation's not a problem. The soundproofing of the house is not a problem. It's just you could tell that the people that built it were in a hurry, and you could tell that the bill of materials that they were using was basically stuff that was just coming to the job site. Like they didn't know ahead of time like what the stuff was. It was just whatever they could get at auction would just show up on a truck and they would install it in the houses. And it was the same thing. Like everything in my house when I moved into it, like I started doing research on the appliances they put in and everything. Every single appliance that was in my house when I moved into it, every single like bathtub, water fixture, everything I looked up was like 2 stars and didn't sell and don't buy. Like you could tell. And that's when I started doing, it's Bellmark. I just remembered Bellmark's the people that built my house. Do not buy a Bellmark house. They build absolute shit houses. And then I started doing research and I found out that they buy a lot of their stuff at auctions. Like they do bulk purchases at auctions for like fixtures, like toilets and tubs and stuff like that. And then they design a lot of their floor plans around like this crap that they buy for bulk. But I was like, my God. So I started talking to my neighbors who all have Bellmark houses too. And they've all had similar problems. 3 houses in my housing development had skylights that were never bolted down.
What?
Yes, dude, we had a windstorm. It literally lifted my skylight up like a foot and smashed it down and shattered the glass. And then like rain and gale force winds were coming into my house.
Oh,
so
that's crazy.
Yeah, so I literally had to get up in the skylight, tape in plastic. Luckily, I had a roll of plastic out in the garage and some duct tape. And I had to get multiple layers to hold up against the wind and everything. And then when I called them, they come out and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's no screw holes through the flashing. The flashing's like perfect." So they didn't even screw it to the roof. So for the first like 5 years we were living in the house, we just had a skylight that you could literally just grab and just lift off of the roof. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, it's supposed to go under the tiles, which it didn't. So you could tell that somebody just went up there and set the skylight on and like didn't put the roofing shingles around it or nothing. They just like dink, one and done. And I am surprised that it lasted 5 years like that until wind ripped it off the house. Wow. And then our neighbors had the same thing happen with the exact same floor plan that we have. We have a mirror of our house built across the street. It's the exact same house, just in a reverse layout.
Right.
And same thing. Within 6 months of our skylight smashing, same thing. There's just caved in glass all over the place. I was like, my God. So Bellmark, remember that name. Burn it into your head. If you see a house and they're like, oh, this wonderful Bellmark just run. Just run or tell them that you know about their shitty house and like lowball them super hard so that you can actually just go in and fix all the stuff.
Yeah, right.
Did the builder get sued? That I don't know. I do know that the builder, one thing that the builder did do though that probably helped him avoid a lawsuit is everything that happened, the builder sent somebody in to repair. So the skylight, that like the insurance didn't even have to get involved. The builder was just like, dude, even though it's 5 years later or whatever, we're going to come in and just fix that. And so they fixed that, so we didn't have to do an insurance claim. The fireplace broke. They came and fixed that. Again, it was a recall. The fireplace was freaking recalled from the day that they put it in the house, so that should have been a lawsuit, right? And you know what it was recalled for? Leaky valve.
What? Like gas?
A leaky gas valve.
Oh, man.
So I'm like, oh my God, like you could have blown our house up. The stove that we had, the range that they installed in the house, which was also gas, we'd keep smelling like faint gas. Like you'd get a whiff of gas and then it would just go away. And later on we found out like just open, you'd turn on the oven and like it wouldn't light. And so you'd open the front door on it or whatever and you'd start smelling gas and you'd be like, okay, and then you close the door and you turn on and then it would light and it would go. And it was because it was just getting such an accumulation of gas inside that it was messing up the stoichiometry and it wouldn't light. And if it did light, it probably would have blown the door off and like thrown me halfway across the house. And we also had 2 elements burn out in that stove. And like the first year that we had, that was like one of the first things we got rid of appliance wise. 2 elements burned out in it. None of the appliances matched. The fridge was a different brand than the microwave. Microwave was like a different brand than the stove. The dishwasher was a different brand. I mean, it was like, dude, it was so pieced together. But they do a good job. They do a good job when to sell it to you. When you come in, it looks like this big pristine, palace. Everything's all perfectly like pristine and fixed up and looks nice. Yeah. It's like when you go to a used car lot and they take a car with like a blown head gasket or whatever and like give it like a $500 detail. And you're like, man, this thing looks like brand new. And you start it up and it runs and you're like, oh, this is great. And then the whole drive home, it's just pissing water all over the road and dumping oil out the bottom because those are the places you don't look. That's exactly what it was like. It was crazy. Yeah. Hey, Alan, he said, I seriously want to ask that beard man, how did he achieve that long beard? Yes, give us some insight. Let's hear about the beard.
Stop shaving.
He's that manly, folks. He's that manly.
Well, okay, so I that's facetious or whatever, but like not everybody can do this. I say give it a like 2 months, 6 weeks, 2 months. Just let it fill in, grow a bit, see how your beard grows. Because again, not everybody, you just can't like. And you'll need to, if you can't, that you'll need to accept that. Definitely comb it out every day. Wash it daily. I wouldn't necessarily recommend not a full-on like shampoo wash daily. Actually, just like unless your beard is going to be very similar to your head. If you've got that kind of skin where like you need to do that, sure, but I try to do it like every other day ish, unless I get like stuff in it. But even then, it's usually around my mouth, and I'll just use like hand soap and just wash my mustache and like around my face. But
what about oiling? Do you got to oil it?
I don't. I'd like to. I've heard that it can help with the skin. Like I get really bad beard dandruff. Like the skin underneath my beard is really dry. It's super like it's bad. It's really bad. And I've heard that like balms and oils can help with that kind of a thing. I just gotta get into a better habit about it.
Gotta get that Selsun Blue, dude.
Yeah, I've heard. I've heard too that like your diet can help a lot with that too. So that might be something. Yeah, but no, honestly I just stopped shaving it was a no shave November thing, but we were like, oh, let's go to the end of the year, and I did it twice actually, and I haven't stopped since the second time.
Anthony said spray in some WD-40.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I saw something cringy the other day. Not to change the topic too much, but I've been watching a lot of these videos of like retro repair, like people that take apart like old consoles and like fix the like slots for the cartridges and stuff. Yeah, and I saw a video of a dude just like literally just dumping WD-40 into the slot. Like, have you ever seen that? Like, I always thought the WD-40 wasn't something you'd ever put on electronics because it's like oil, right? Like, why?
Yeah, that's weird.
Has anybody else seen that, or was this like a video of like the dude was like trolling his audience because he's like we got to clean out the contacts or whatever, and he just takes WD-40 with a stem on it and like jams it down in the crack and just. Psh, and I mean, it was a ton. It was splattering like all over the place, and I'm like, can you do that?
I know. Well, I know. I've seen WD-40 used to like you'll soak something in it to help like get corrosion off.
Oh, okay. So it's like an anti-corrosive. Oh, and somebody said it's non-conductive.
So.
Oh, WD-40 makes contact cleaner. Oh, so maybe it was just WD-40 branded contact cleaner. Okay. Let me look that up because that was freaking me out. I just saw that the other day and I was reminded of that, and I was like, dude, you can't just like take like. I mean, I use WD-40 like get rid of like squeaks on door jams and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't think to like spray it on electronics.
Yeah, and people are saying it'll repel the water. Like if there's something in there, break clean. Yeah. Yep. WD's oil.
That's what it was. Never mind. They actually do make WD-40 electrical contact cleaner, and that's what it was. Dude, that guy needs to like fix his video though, because you don't see that part of the can. You just see the top part of the can. And it just says WD-40.
Yeah.
And he's just like doing a bottle dump of it, dude. Like the amount that he put in the slot. I mean, it just made me cringe. I was like, oh my god. And then he put it all together and it all worked great. So, you know, like in every YouTube video where you fuck up and just like replace the thing and then don't tell anybody in editing and make it look like you're awesome.
Yeah, right. It's like the cooking show. Like they pull out the finished one.
People don't realize how often that happens in YouTube videos. Like and I catch it because I'm used to making YouTube content. I know the kind of problems that you run into and like the types of tricky editing you do to get around them. And I try to show my mistakes. So it's like really easy for me to spot when it's like, I'll see some guy and he'll do something and you'll see like, you know, like something break off of the board. Like I've watched videos where people are doing like repairs on stuff. And it's like, okay, you got to desolder the capacitor or whatever. And then they'll pull on the capacitor and it's like one of the legs off the capacitor will just like rip off and be stuck on the board. But then they'll do a really quick jump cut, like right as it's tearing out of the capacitor. And you're like, wait a second. And then they come back and all of a sudden there's a new capacitor like soldered on and the leg's missing. And you're like, oh, okay. They just kind of breezed over that. They just completely destroyed that thing, but they didn't need it anyways, right? They were taking it off to replace it. But it's just funny that you see like little mistakes like that in videos that people edit out because they want to make it seem like a fluid process, even though like you want to see a good example of not doing that. Watch my video on fixing the power button on my Logitech Z5500s. I spend like a half an hour in that video just making every mistake. And I'm like, well, that didn't work. Well, that didn't work. And it keeps getting progressively worse. And like by the end, the button's like all sanded off and you can't even see the logo on it anymore. And when you push it, it doesn't even like spring back. Like I totally fucked it up. But it was an entertaining video because of that. But I watch a lot of these videos where people do DIY projects, like showing you how to build something or how to do something where they just cut out all the failed attempts. And it's like, come on. And then they make it look easy. That's the problem is you go tackling it thinking, oh man, this looks really easy.
Huh.
And it never is. Like I watched, just last night I watched a video where the guy actually did a pretty good job. I wish I could remember the name of his channel. It was like, maybe it's Tech Ingredients or something like that.
Yeah.
And he made this ping pong ball, like this giant ping pong ball LED wall that like played video. And it looked really cool. It was like, it basically made like a really low res giant, like, you know, Jumbotron screen for his wall in his room. And I was watching the video and you could like just tell when he was doing stuff, like he'd wire something up and then it'd go to the next, it'd jump to the next scene. It's like, okay, now you're ready to install it. And all the electronics would look completely different. Yeah. So you could tell that he like put it together once and it like did not work. And then the next one, he just fixed it and and he just led them to believe that like the previous way he did it was just fine. He left that cut in because he probably didn't record when, you know, he did the second cut. So he just left it in. I'm just like, oh my God, dude. Like if anybody follows this video, they will not end up with the same result. They just won't.
Wow.
So should we talk about Microsoft admitting to its bad update?
Yeah. Well, it seemed. I was kind of looking at that article, and it seems this is just one more thing.
It's been quite the pile, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the more now, on top of everything else, like having Chrome problems and other issues, now the Windows 10 May 2020 update has killed OneDrive for some users. It seems that there's a syncing issue between some Windows 10 users with the May 2020 update and their OneDrive, getting an error, cannot connect to Windows. And there's some temporary workarounds and stuff. You got to go into the command prompt and run some stuff and move some things around. It's actually adding. It looks to be the temporary workaround is adding something, a line to the registry.
Oh, probably to enable or disable a feature.
Some sort of. They're mentioning some default instance, blah blah blah, something. Something about it says a service. CLD FLT Cloud Float, I imagine, some sort of instance in there, and that's some temporary fix, I suppose. But yeah, so be careful. Your OneDrive, if you're having some issues with your OneDrive after updating, that's probably the issue there.
If you don't need the Linux functionality, if you don't need that new Linux functionality they added through, what is it? Is it WSL2 or WDL2?
WSL2.
I keep getting it mixed up. So WSL2. If you don't need the Linux, the new Linux kernel that was released with 2004, I would avoid it for a while because there's a lot of reports of problems with this. I've heard of a report of people not being able to access their storage using storage spaces. So if you use basically Microsoft's built-in RAID, which not a lot of people do, so I'll argue it's not going to affect the vast amount of people. But the people that do use storage spaces, it just shows up as corrupt and you can't access your data. And there's like a bunch of workarounds to try to get that working again. None of them are guaranteed. That's one. Now they got the cloud problem with OneDrive, which is probably still a storage-related issue. And I think a lot of this stems from them just doing so much work on the bare metal of the operating system, like the IO stack and the networking stack and stuff to support that new Linux stuff.
Yeah.
Because they've had to do so much churn there, it's starting to show problems in other spaces. I've seen people say that there's broad, like, failed driver support in 2004. A lot of people are reporting really strange blue screen of death messages that don't make any sense. I've had a couple people that have messaged me and said, like, how do they even roll back to the previous version because they cannot even boot in safe mode? Like, there are so many issues. Like, and I'm used to it. Like, when Windows releases a major update, like, you know, one of their quarterly updates, you generally see a lot of people complain. But this has been so much more in such a much more broad area that you can tell that this was, like, not well tested at all before they sent it out. And so I would avoid it like the plague unless you specifically need one of the development features in it, because there are a lot of upgrades to it that help developers, especially with cross-platform development, hence all the Linux stuff that they added in there. But if you don't need that or depend on that, I would say just avoid it like the plague until they get some of this stuff resolved and they drop another major update after it.
Yeah.
Hey, Casper.
What about Casper?
Casper gave us €5 of the euros.
Oh, thanks.
He said, my sister's laptop was bricked after the latest Windows update. You know what? I've seen a disproportional amount of laptops affected by this. That's another thing that I'd like to mention, too, is it seems like this is like, I don't know if it's the chipsets that they're using on the laptops or the video chipsets or the audio chipsets, but it seems like a lot of the people that have been reporting issues, like there's a disproportionate number of laptop users over desktop users. Also, Nick, thank you for the $5. We appreciate that support. He said, how do you feel about the Ender 3 Pro? I have an FFCP, but need something larger and better. Also, I have a 2004 update installed and no issues at all. Well, keep in mind that the majority of people that install 2004 are not going to have problems, but there's a way higher amount of people experiencing problems than on previous updates. So that's what we're going with here. Is it's like, yeah, you may install 2004 and be perfectly fine as long as your system is in step with Windows Hardware Quality Labs or the WICL certification, and you're running similar hardware to say if you bought something from HP or Dell, you'll probably be fine. But seeing how many different hardware permutations are out there and how many people are reporting problems, I wouldn't risk it on your machine that you rely on for work. As far as the Ender 3 Pro, the Ender 3 Pro is an awesome printer. Yeah, a lot of people in the 3D printing community lean on the Ender 3 Pro. It's very cheap. It's got a large build volume. It's not the fastest printer in the world, but it looks cool. It's reliable. Sure. It's easy to fix. All the parts are off the shelf. Like it's all, basically like aluminum extrusion and like 3D printed parts. So
nice.
I think
it's $210.
Yeah, they cost nothing,
that's
dude.
Crazy.
They're super cheap, and the build volume's huge for the amount of money you spend.
Neat.
So no, I know a lot of people that use the Ender 3 Pro. There's actually a couple Ender printers that are actually really good. Even the small build volume one's pretty good. But I tell everybody to go for the bigger one because it's not much more money, and it gives you a build volume. It's like you can print some rather large things on it, and its print reliability is really high too. So yeah, I would recommend it. I don't own one myself, but I know a lot of people that do, including Joel, the 3D printing nerd, and he did some videos on it too. Go check his stuff out. It's also very similar to another printer called the G-Max. Like the G-Max, I think had a bigger build volume, but they're kind of a clone. Let me go double check. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see if it's the Ender 3 Pro. I want to see if this is the one. Yeah, exactly. No, and make sure you get the Creality one, by the way. There's some knockoffs, which is hilarious because the Creality one's a knockoff in itself. but the Creality is the one that you want. And the Ender 3 Pro. No, these things are fantastic, dude. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Pick it up for like $229 or cheaper. I do know that there's what was the one problem with it? It may not have a UL certified power supply. That's the only thing that I think may be an issue, depending on where you buy it from. If it does not have a UL certified power supply, just spend the $60 or whatever and buy one because you don't want to burn your house down. But dude, do not mess with. Hey, I have experience with non-UL certified power supplies. You do not want to mess with them. They are not worth it. When I did cryptocurrency mining, I had a bunch of ASICs that were doing mining. Basically, they're purpose-built computers for mining cryptocurrency, and they all required ATX power supplies. And so the guy that gave me all the hardware to do the Bitcoin mining back in the day, he gave me a bunch of non-UL certified server power supplies. They were like knockoff, gray market power supplies to go in like HP ProLiant servers. Mm-hmm. And he got them really cheap. They were like 1,000-watt power supply he could pick up for like $40, right? So this is like a 1,000-watt server power supply for like $40. The problem is you plug them in and it starts smelling like burning plastic after not even like 10 minutes at room temperature. So I set them all up and I was running them like full tilt in my shed, like in the dead of winter. So we're talking, it's like 34 degrees outside.
Yeah.
I open up my shed door and it's hot. It's supposed to be, right? These ASICs put out a lot of heat. I was probably about 4,000 watts of power going out there. And I opened up and it's like super hot, but I open the door and it's like there is a noticeable haze of smoke. And I walked over and I'm looking at these power supplies and the fans on the back of them were starting to melt. So it wasn't the ASICs, it was the fans physically on the power supply because the power supply was getting so much hotter. Like it would never pass a UL certification process because it overheated.
Wow.
And so what I ended up doing just to get through it, because I was still mining, is I went in there and I put in a box fan to circulate air over the power supplies. But keep in mind that these are server power supplies. They have these screaming ass howling fans on them, so they should be able to cool themselves. But I had to actually put a box fan on them just to keep them cool enough that they would stop smoldering. Wow. And then I eventually shut the whole thing down because I was like, I'm not going to risk burning my shed down, to mine cryptocurrency. So I was like, nope, I'm out. Hey, Dave, thank you for the £5. He said, hey, Barn and Ox, here's your tip for a great show as always.
Hey,
it was my birthday. Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that. He said it was my birthday yesterday and I turned 38. Would be cool to get a shout out. Well, Dave, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Have a happy, good birthday. Happy birthday to you. And how cool is it? How cool is it that his birthday is the day before the 4th of July? So it's like he gets to have cake and presents, and then the next day they blow up stuff.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Kelly said, "Oh, 2004 installed on your system without me knowing it." Yeah, that's another thing that I disagree with that Microsoft's doing, and they're actually pushing that harder now. As of the 2004 update, they've removed the ability. Well, they removed the obvious ability for you to defer updates. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So now you have to go into group policy now, which you don't even have if you're on home. Group policy is only accessible through Pro or better SKUs. You have to go in through group policy now to defer the updates, because you used to be able to just go into the Windows UI the Windows Update UI. You could click advanced. You could say defer updates for up to 60 days, 90 days, or whatever. Now you can't do that. As of 2004, they pulled that feature out. And they said that the reason they did that is because there was too much confusion with people having bugs that were fixed in the later updates. And they were like, oh, it's getting reported. Total bullshit. Microsoft just is getting mad because everybody's deferring updates, including their insiders, which means they're not getting enough testing on the updates before they're shipping them out to the users. Yeah. And it's an inconvenience for Microsoft because they won't do their own work. And before you get mad at me for ripping on Microsoft, which everybody does, oh my God, you're just mad because they laid you off 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I use their software on everything. I'm like Microsoft's biggest fan when it comes to using their technology. I own an Xbox. I even owned Windows Phone when it was out. I use it on all my computers. I'm streaming right now from Windows 10. So no, what I want Microsoft to do is the right thing, because I've invested my entire life in their technologies and I really don't want them to be replaced by Linux. which is what's going to happen if they keep this shit up. ML Emmett, thank you for the 50 sexes. We always like getting sexed up. That's nice. And hey, Barn and Ox, here's a tip for your great show as always. Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, we like all that, all those sexes. And Jose, thank you for the $2. Said Intel Optane memory M2 32 gig is work for SSD. Wait, is work for SSD M2? Intel Optane memory M2 30. Well, if it's M2, it's M2. So I think Jose is asking if the Intel Optane memory M2 will work with SSD M2.
Sure.
But M2 is SSD. As long as you have the M2 interface, then you're good. But make sure you have an M2, because here's the thing: is SSD and M2. M2 is just is like the next iteration of SSD, right? It's same protocol, higher bandwidth, but it does require a special slot. So make sure that your motherboard supports M2. SSD, like, because you know how you have to plug them into the little M2 slot. You're not going to be able to just plug that into the end of like a SATA cable, for instance, which first generation SSDs use the SATA interface. M2 is a different interface. So, but he did say M2 in both. He said M2 SSD versus memory M2. So I think, yeah, it's going to work as long as you have an M2 slot. Let's see here. Solar 3 Empire said, cannot install OS on Optane. I think it depends on the motherboard, actually. I thought I had heard that. Now, I'm not an expert on Optane by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought with UEFI you could actually boot Optane now.
Yeah.
So I do think, and the other thing too is if it's Optane through an M2 interface, then it's just Optane technology. But if it's using M2, it should be bootable regardless of whether you're BIOS or UEFI. If it's Optane through the PCIe, which is their proprietary, what is it, like 7 gig a second or whatever, like if it's an Optane card that goes into the PCI slot, then yeah, I know that computers have hard times booting from those. You have to boot from another drive and then load a driver and then boot into that. But if it's an M2 interface, it should just boot. But to be honest, I don't even know if Optane makes an M2 drive. Like, I know he said in his thing, like, will Optane memory M2 work? But I thought that Optane was like their own standard.
I mean, I don't know. Optane is a big confusing mess.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
I do know for a fact, though, even the Optane cards, you can get a UEFI update to boot from them, though. I do remember that being a thing.
Just don't encourage Intel and their Optane bullshit, okay? Pardon my French, but seriously, don't encourage them.
Yeah, because honestly, can't you get the same performance now with like high-end M2s?
You get better. It's I don't know what they're trying to pull. I think, honestly, I do think it's kind of the in-between step of because honest to goodness, the future is there won't be any difference between RAM and storage, right? And I do think Optane is kind of a little baby step in that direction. It's just bad.
I've never heard of a good Optane experience, though. Everybody I know that spent like $1,000 on an Optane, PCIe interface drive had literally nothing but problems with it.
Yeah,
Zam, thank you for the $2 super chat. He said, so you're saying they need more QA testers? They need a QA tester division? Yes, they do. As a matter of fact, I even publicly stated, not that they'd see it because I'm pretty much muted by Microsoft on Twitter due to an internal mail thread. But I did tell Microsoft, somebody asked me the question. He said, would you ever go back and work for Microsoft again? And I said, only under one condition. If they basically brought back the test team that they laid off, they brought back as much of that IP as humanly possible, meaning the people that used to work there, and allowed us to basically rebuild the test team back to the standards that it once was and allow it to be a proper quality gate. If they did that, I would totally go back and lead that charge in like a heartbeat. Because I would consider that like one of my life's greatest achievements would be bringing Microsoft's QA back to a level that was acceptable.
Right.
Michael Weezer said Optane is available with M2. So if it's Optane but it's M2, meaning just NVMe interface, you're fine. So it should boot. It should work exactly like any other M2 drive. What we're talking about is Optane cards. Like if you have an Optane card back when they did their own proprietary thing, because when I think SSD was limited to like what 3 gig a second or something like that read write. In the first like the first NVMe M2 drives, I think could only do like 3 gig read write on the Samsung 960s. And then I remember Optane at the time could do like 7 gig. It was like more than double. It was crazy. But now I'm seeing, M2 SSD drives that can do like 6 or 7 gig read write. So
yeah, it's fast.
So Optane's like dead as far as I'm concerned.
There was something about it. I remember early on that like it was kind of a joke, but it's like, oh, it's super good if you were to play the same CS:GO map back to back, basically, and that was kind of like a joke, but it was also kind of a peek at like what it was trying to accomplish.
Yeah,
it's like, and I don't know, it never really made sense to me how it was supposed to work, and I don't know.
It was out there though. It reminded me of like back in the old, just to date myself here, back when I had a 386. I had a 386 SX25. Or no, was it? I think it was a 25. And I remember buying this thing called a hard card. And it was basically like a hard drive that was built into an ISA card that you could slide in, basically like a PCIe card, right? Yeah. And I remember that when you loaded those things, you couldn't boot off them because the BIOS didn't know what the fuck it was. So you had to actually boot and then load a driver through the auto exec bat that would then mount the drive and make it available under DOS. And I remember it never worked like a real drive. It never had the performance of a real drive. It was nothing but problems. The company never really like kept it up to date or anything because not enough people bought it, and the company like flopped, so I couldn't get any support for it. It was like the dumbest thing. And the only reason I bought it was because I was basically just out of IDE connections. Like I already maxed out how many hard drives the computer could have. So my only option for adding another drive, because they didn't really have external drives back then, there was no USB or anything like that back then, was to add one of these hard cards. And it was a nightmare. It was absolutely just a waste of money. Hey, Chicken Ants, thank you for that $10 super chat, man. We appreciate that support. He said, most of what you two say goes over my head, but I'm here to learn and also support you guys. Hope you have a wonderful 4th. Oh, well, we plan to.
Aw, thanks, man.
We plan to.
Dave, gimmick. Yeah.
So Dave, thank you for the £5, Dave. He said, hey, and again, happy birthday. He said, hey, what's the difference between the 2 in the M2 and the one with 2 notches and the one with 1 notch? Oh, are you talking about M2 or are you talking about SATA?
SATA
versus SAS.
It's the interface. Well, or NVMe actually. Somebody had answered earlier, but yeah, the two notches are for SATA interface. 1 notch, it's the key, right? Mm-hmm. The 1 notch is NVMe.
Oh, okay.
Most more modern, as far as I'm aware, actually after, I want to say after the 170 or 270. Most M.2 slots, most M.2 drives nowadays are all going to be NVMe. I'd be surprised if anybody's still selling SATA M.2 drives.
Yeah, to be honest, I've never even seen a SATA M.2. That must have been a very short-lived thing because I've only seen NVMe. Oh, you do?
I have, yeah. Oh no, I guess they are still selling them.
Oh, I can see them. Okay, so I just pulled one up right now.
But if you're on a modern platform, you should get an NVMe. They're just wicked faster. They're so much faster. Because it's if you're gonna get a SATA M.2, you're saving some space by not having the SSD, like the actual 2.5-inch thing. But I don't know.
Price might be a point though. I'm looking at some of the prices between them, and like a crucial 1 terabyte SATA M.2, it has the 2, like you said, the 2 notches. I've never seen this before though. This is news to me. Yeah. But with the 2 notches, $114 buys you a 1 terabyte drive. But the problem is, guess what its read-write speed is? 560 megasecond versus NVMe, which is for the 970 Evo is like 3 gig.
Yeah.
So, and it only cost, well, actually, even the cost, like it's for a 1 terabyte, you're looking at, I mean, it is double the cost. It's double the cost, but it's like 8 times the performance. So I would rather have a 0.5 terabyte NVMe than a 1 terabyte SSD NVMe. Or sorry, M2 SATA. I didn't even know they made those, dude. That was like news to me, and I'm looking at them side by side right now. Somebody just did a comparison. Let me see if I can pull up the site that did a comparison. Let's see here. Online tech tips. Ooh. Here you go. So here, if you guys would like to see, because I'm learn along with Barnacules here, because I know literally nothing about this. I just put the link in chat there for you guys. I just pulled that up. So it shows all the differences between the different solid state drives. And one of the evolutions that they show in there is the 860 Evo, which is Samsung's. I have the 960, which is the NVMe, but the 860 was the SSD variant, and the performance is way off. Like NVMe. Okay, so NVMe SSDs are 3,500 up to 3,500 megabytes a second, so 3.5 gig a second. But the SATA 3 SSDs that plug into the NVMe drives have the same limitation as a standard SSD. Right. So 550 megasecond. So just think about that. You're getting like 6 times the performance. You got Ninja Woman working in the background there again.
Yeah.
She was quick that time though. She didn't even fire up the goggles. No, this is a good article. I'm actually looking through this right now. I also didn't realize that there was a different NVMe standard for laptops too.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought.
So laptops have like these little chubby shorter guys that have a completely different plug on them. This is weird. Okay, so this is a good article.
Most of them are going to be the 2280, the longer style.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I didn't get into NVMe until the 9 series. Like I never had any of the. I think I had the 850 Evos, which were the original SSDs that went into William.
Right.
But those were like conventional SSDs that plugged in through a SATA cable. And then the 860, which was the next version, was the one that went in an NVMe slot. Those I never had. I went straight from the 850s to the 960s, which are what are inside Houston PC. Your namesake behind me, I think, is all M2 NVMe. But I think they're even faster than that now. I heard so it said the M2 NVMe was 3.5 gig a second, but I could have swore that I saw that the new standard of it's like up to 7 or something like that. Like I think there's even a new standard of it, like since this article was written. Let's see here. M2. Whoa, what the hell? Whoa, Google's got like sound effects now. If you go to
what?
Or sorry, Bing, if you do you hear the fireworks on the stream?
Nope.
Here, how do I mute this? Where's mute tab? Here, mute site.
Happy Independence Day.
Yeah, you go to Bing and it like there's fireworks going off and sound effects.
It's not doing it.
Oh, it didn't do it for you?
No. I see Independence Day fireworks over the National Mall, Washington D.C., but I don't see any. I mean, I don't even see fireworks.
Weird. It's like fully animated and playing explosions and stuff for me. What browser are you using?
Chrome.
Oh, I'm using Chrome too. Why aren't you getting that effect? So you went to Bing.com and you're not getting it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're getting robbed, bro.
I'm bummed out. This is why I don't use Bing. They hate me. This is bullshit.
It's Bolshevik.
It's
Bolshevik.
Yeah, what the heck, man?
Yeah, you don't get it. I do. I was like, where's that fireworks sound coming from? And then I looked in Chrome and it's got that little icon now that shows you which tabs are playing sound. Oh, you get it now?
There we go. I paused and played it again. Wow, look at that. That's cool.
So what's the highest performance of M2? That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Is I want to see what the highest. See, it still says that NVMe M2 is 3,500 megasecond, but I thought that they got faster than that.
I thought it was 6 gigs, SATA 3 style.
I thought it was too. Let's see here. How fast are NVMe speeds? Oh, these are all old articles though. Let me see. Where's a new one? No, this is still talking about the 960s. Those are only 3,500. I mean,
even the 970 Pro Plus, Evo Plus, that's which I think is Samsung's best NVMe drive, shows sequential read writes of up to 3,500 megabytes per second.
Okay. So Solar Empire said NVMe PCI Express 4 is a 7 to 8 gig max. But I think you have to have an NVMe slot that supports that, right? Or an M2 slot?
PCIe might be a little faster.
Yeah, you probably need PCIe 4 to get that kind of speed, I'm guessing. Robert Bear, thank you for the $2 tip. He said Optane has much better latency and access time. How much better can you really get though? I guess there's applications where milliseconds obviously matter. Or nanoseconds even, but oh damn it, you shrunk down again. Did you click something on your side?
No.
Oh, now you're back. You had shrunken head syndrome on stream there for a second.
Weird. I'm seeing some claims of enterprise level NVMe going up to 3 gigabytes per second read and write at 1 gigabyte. So
well, that's even slower than the consumer stuff. This does 3,500 under Crystal.
That's from 2018. So yeah, we're looking at 3.5 gigabytes a second.
Yeah, and they said though that there are M2 drives now that can do 6 to 8.
I was gonna say there. So, I know I saw somewhere that it was upwards of 6 gigabytes a second. Yeah.
So Optane is about 30% better than the top of the line Samsung NVMe drives. Yeah, but is it worth the hassle, C. Mopar? I never hear anybody say anything positive about Optane.
Yeah,
like I really don't like people haven't tried. I guess if you have the right motherboard with the right EFI, and it's all configured to boot off of an Optane drive, which I'd imagine most of them, if you bought a new motherboard today, I'm sure that they've probably already considered all that. Then it's probably fine. But God, I heard nothing but problems with getting that stuff to work. I even remember talking to John at Puget Systems about Optane, like when it was first a thing, and I was like, oh, and he's like, dude, trust me, you don't want to mess with that. Like John was like, yeah, no, that's not for what you're doing. That's not necessary and a pain in the butt.
That might be for, in certain instances, sure, and so maybe my poo-pooing on it is more coming from the fact that like it's not good for like workstations and creatives and things like that. I'm sure there is a useful application for it, but not one that I have experience with.
Yeah, honestly, before I went with Optane, I'd probably just start raiding SSDs, and it'd probably still be cheaper. like you could probably go buy 4 like 256 gigabyte M2 NVMe's 3500 gig read write and do a RAID 5 striped with parity and get 750 gig or whatever as fast or faster than an Optane for like way less money and way more compatible. I'm guessing. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there just because I've used RAID several times. I'm actually not an expert on RAID either, because I'm that guy that always builds like RAID 0 just to get like that extra performance and then end up losing everything when one drive fails. I'm that guy. But which I've already been chewed out like by Puget Systems several times for doing that. They always supported me though when I did it. Because I wanted to. The story goes, when I got Houston PC, that was my first Puget Systems build. It's a dual Xeon, and it had 4 I think it was the 850 EVOs, the Samsung 850 EVOs, right? Which are the non-NVMe, the standard SSD drives. And they did about 550, 560 read write. And I remember the first thing I did when I got the system, because it had a RAID controller built onto the motherboard, is I basically got it home from Puget Systems, and I'm like, you guys configured it as 4 individual drives. And basically you had an OS drive, you had an app drive, you had a scratch disk, and then the other one was like for backup or whatever. The way that and that's how I asked for it to be set up. But then when I got it, I was like, man, I wonder how fast I could get the IO if I just RAID 0 this bitch. And so I took them all and I created a RAID 0 stripe, and I was getting upwards of like, I think it was about 1800 megasecond or 2000, because it was basically almost quadrupling the rate of the drives, right? You lose a little with the RAID controller, but it was fast. Like for that time, like I was like, oh my God, this is fast. And then what happened was I updated the firmware on one of the drives, because one of the drives was from a different batch and had a slightly older firmware on it. Yeah. And so it pops up, what was it? Samsung Magician pops up and says, hey, do you want to install the new firmware? And of course I didn't consult Puget Systems. I just went ahead and did it. And the advice was like, don't. The firmware fixed a problem that wasn't even a problem on this platform. And Puget is really good about not installing superfluous updates, because it can create other problems, right? They stick with what's the most stable. And so I went ahead and installed that update on the drive, and then it literally wiped the drive. And so because it wiped one of the 4 drives, it took the whole RAID set with it. Yep. And there's no way to get it back. If you use RAID 0, you're boned. There is no way to build it back. So if you guys are going to do RAID, doesn't matter. Spinning disk or SSD, it does not matter. Like, don't risk it, because if you lose a single drive, you are boned, and like royally boned. Let's see, what do we got here? Linus's new editing rig boots off Optane. Well, of course Linus's does, Robert. And thank you for that $2 super chat. We appreciate it.
I'm curious why. Like, to what advantage he might be getting from that.
Well, like they were saying, I'm sure if he has the right chipset and everything on the computer he's using, there's probably some benefit to it from a caching perspective or a speed perspective, because they're huge, man. The Optane cards, they're like huge compared to the little NVMe drive. So I'd have to imagine that, there's got to be some secret sauce there that's increasing performance in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But also keep in mind, Linus does like really weird stuff too, right? Like Linus at one point, I think, was like booting his terminal like over 40 gig Ethernet off of like the back end of like some unraid server. Like he always has like these really, really weird configurations. Or he had like one computer that like there was eight terminals running as 8 VMs with hardware pass through using I think it was Unraid. Wasn't it Unraid that he was using to do that? And he was basically creating like 8 Docker instances that all had like keyboards, mice, their own dedicated graphics cards. It had 8 graphics cards. Each station had its own graphics card. And he actually got it all working. But Linus likes to do weird shit. So just keep in mind, just because Linus does it doesn't mean the average user should, because Linus does a lot of really high-end, crazy weird off the wall shit that I'm sure even in his environment presents some challenges, but he has the means and ability to overcome those challenges where the average user might not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but not to say that I wouldn't do it if I had access to that hardware too. Like, did you see Linus's Unraid server that has like the whole box is completely full of like 10,000 RPM or 15,000 RPM spinning disks, and then there's like 2 banks of SSDs. I mean, it's got to be $100,000, like one or maybe even more. Like, does anybody know what the sticker price was on that crazy Unraid backup server he made for the video editors? It's nuts. I do like a series though where he runs around. He's the Mr. Beast of tech. He kind of is. Did you ever watch his series where he like runs around and helps YouTubers build storage solutions?
Nope.
Yeah, at one point I was in contention for that, but then I went wonky bonks and like stopped making YouTube videos and went crazy. But yeah, no, it's cool. He built one for Smarter Every Day. Destin from Smarter Every Day. He built him a storage solution. Because he literally just had boxes of hard drives, and when he needed data, he'd go find the hard drive and just like plug it in and get the data off of it. Like, so he built him a NAS. Who else did he build a NAS for? He built iJustine got a custom one that had like a custom paint job. I think that was an Unraid server if I remember right. But there's been a couple of people. I've watched at least 3 videos of him building NASs for people, and it was pretty cool to watch. See, Mopar said I want one of those storage servers, but it'd probably break my floor. Dude, they're heavy. Oh yeah, the slow-mo guys. That was the third one that I remember was the slow-mo guys. Because they have to store all that high-speed video, which takes like insane amounts of storage.
Oh, it's a ton. Yeah, that kind of stuff is insane.
Dude, I would love to have a high-speed camera. There's a company in Canada. I can't remember the name of the camera, but they're actually picking up a lot of notoriety among YouTubers, because before that, like a high-speed camera cost like $100,000, $150,000, $200,000. And there's a company in Canada. Maybe you guys remember the name. Kronos. Thank you. Of course, Telflater Mouse is in chat. Dude, you fucking lurker. He's always in here lurking about. So if you guys don't, go follow Telflater Mouse. He has a cool channel where he literally just like shoots like flechette and shit out of shotguns. Like he'll stuff anything in a shotgun and shoot it. And I'm surprised he hasn't like blown himself up yet. But yeah, no. The Kronos camera out of Canada, I want to say they start at like $2,500 or something like that, and you can get a lens adapter to use other lenses, or you can use their lenses, which are pretty decently priced. And they're not. Don't expect the same results as like a Phantom, like one of the bigger cameras, because it just doesn't have the aperture for it. It's a very small aperture. You need a shitload of light, like even way more than you'd need for like a regular camera. But I've seen the results from them, and God, for the money, you can't nothing else can touch them. Like if you want to shoot something to like 10,000 frames per second or something like that, and it's like a large DSLR.
Huh.
Oh, they're about 3,300 now. Is that US or Canadian? Because if it's Canadian, that's like $4 American. So
right.
Yeah, you just throw them way after each use. But they're small. They do. I think what's the top frames per second on that Telflater mouse? Is it? I want to say they were like 10. They could do like 10,000 frames per second. It was like up there. But you need a shitload of light. Like just to give you an idea, it was an earlier generation. Maybe the new ones are better. But Robert has one, K9.
Yeah.
And we used his camera. Are you frozen? No, you're just holding really still.
I'm just spacing out.
So no, Robert had one at MRF, Midwest Rep Rap Festival. And I remember we shot a video inside where we had tons of light. There was tons of light inside, and the video was still like barely visible. Like at the highest frames per second. The highest frames per second, you literally have to have like spotlights on your target. You gotta like blow it out to the human eye. Jeez. But for the price, it's totally worth it. Okay, so 38. Oh wow, it'll do 38,000 frames per second at small resolutions. Oh my god,
that's pretty good. Jeez.
Yeah, and it works just like a regular camera. You basically just point it, and it's constantly recording to its internal memory. And then like 5 seconds, I think it can capture up to 5 seconds or something like that. And then you just push the button, and it backlogs the last 5 seconds, then dumps it to RAM and compresses it.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, we did a video at MRF. We never published it because it was too it was basically too dark to post. But we were able to brighten it up enough that you could see what was going on. But we shot at the highest frame rate inside, and we were using these high-speed Nerf dart guns, like ones where they're these Nerf dart guns. God, I can't remember. My memory is so bad these days. But there's a company that makes these Nerf guns, these 3D printed Nerf guns that can fire Nerf darts at like 400 feet per second.
Ooh.
To the point where they just disintegrate on impact. Like you can't reuse them. The Nerf darts, when they hit their target, they just basically shred. And so we got a video of somebody just lighting me up with one from across the room, and we did the slow-mo of it. And in the slow-mo, you can just see these darts like coming in like really slow, and then you just see the ripple go across my whole stomach from the impact, because the impact is just so dramatic. Oh my God, it was epic. Telflatermouse said he's happy with it, though. Everybody I know that has one says that for the money, it's fantastic. So, at one point in time, I was going to review one of their cameras, but I stopped making videos for a while, and I waved them off and was like, nope. But eventually, I want to do some slow-mo stuff. Because I don't think it's completely burned out. Well, I'm one of those people where it's like, I'm going to do it is when it's burned out. When, like, slow-mo is completely played out and nobody likes it anymore, that's when I'll get into it. Because that's what I do for everything now. That's my new shtick is like, once it's already played out, once I have a product that's like no longer even marketed and you can't even buy it, that's when I'm going to do the review. Hey, Bert Holt, thank you for the €5. Said, hi, Jerry in Houston. Would you consider an AMD build as your next main box? Absolutely.
Yes.
There's your answer. It's really that fast and that simple.
Yeah, like I just recently got a Sliger SM560, I think is what it was. Sliger SM560. Let me make sure I'm talking about the right one. It's from a coworker, and I want to do that. I want to put probably B550 platform, ITX, because I don't need the X570 stuff. The 550 will be fine, but with stock problems and shipping and blah 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 right now, it'll probably be a while. But yeah, totally. They're Ryzen's killing it right now.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I have not had a chance to play with one personally yet, like game or anything on one. As a matter of fact, I've never even seen one like installed. Like I've never even watched one of the videos yet. But all the feedback I've heard from everybody is that they're just stomping Intel's ass dollar for dollar right now. Like just obliterating them. And Intel doesn't even have like an offering that can even compete with them for cores and performance at some levels.
Yeah, like right now, even from Puget, the only reason we still recommend Intel for like Premiere Pro is because Intel has better Thunderbolt support. That's it. Otherwise, AMD just like.
Does Intel license it? Does Intel like? Oh, they do license Thunderbolt.
It's their thing. Yeah. So
who really uses Thunderbolt though? Like
Mac. People moving from Mac to PC.
Okay.
They have all their external drives and displays and things like that.
Dude, there's going to be a lot of people moving from Mac to PC after this whole ARM shenanigans.
The ARM. Yeah, I'm man, I don't know what are they going to do? Make everybody get Final Cut Pro and like try and do that on ARM and like it's ridiculous. I don't think Adobe's going to suddenly come out with an ARM-based Premiere. Like what?
And like, what are they going to do about like bootcamp? like I heard that bootcamp's not going to be supported, and what they're claiming is it's Microsoft's fault, which I'm like, how can you say that? Like that makes no sense to me whatsoever. They're like, oh it's up to Microsoft. If Microsoft just makes an ARM build, which they do already for the Surface X, but it's not a publicly available build. You can't just buy it and install it. It comes with the Surface X. But theoretically, if they released that and sold it, then bootcamp would be possible. But it's not even there. It's like not even there or supported. So even if Microsoft did that, Apple would still have to implement a new version of bootcamp. So, and I'll be honest, like when I owned a Mac, now don't get me wrong, there's Mac users that are 100% ride or die Mac, right? They don't use anything that doesn't run on Mac. But for me, I actually owned a Mac. In 2011, I had a MacBook Pro. It was like their top spec machine at like $3,500. And I loved that computer, but man, I needed bootcamp. Like I ran the stuff that I liked on OS 10, under OS 10, and then everything else I ran on Windows side by side using bootcamp. And that was what made that machine really, really epic to me. And the fact that I could dual boot it too. So if I wanted to play games, like I wanted to play Half-Life and stuff like that, I could just boot over into, Windows, I think I was running Windows XP on it at the time. No, I was running way more. No, it would have been Windows 7 or Windows Vista. It would have been Windows Vista. And it ran great. It actually ran Windows Vista great. It had the driver support. Everything on it worked more or less. I mean, so the fact that that's going away, I mean, I'd imagine they did their homework and realized that not a lot of people are using bootcamp, because that would be a really stupid decision to go to ARM if a lot of their base depended on Windows. So I think what they're banking on is that it's going to be a very small percentage of users that had the dependency on Windows, and they're hoping that they'll just suck it up for what they gain anyways. Hey, can you hold down for a second? I got my 40-year-old bladder's got to go do a little tinkle. Sure. I'll be right back. Oh, that's what I thought. Oh, Trace in chat there. No, it's fine. Yeah. Trace, my weight loss journey is no longer a public thing anymore because it just got too abusive. It actually led me down the path where I'm at right now. So too much to explain right here, but that's off the table. That's something that I pretty much don't say anything online anymore because it became so toxic that it ended up just like crippling me mentally and physically. So, but trust me, it's still a goal. It's still a goal for me. All right, I'll be right back. I gotta go take a tinkle.
All right, let's see. So Thunderbolt combining with USB to become USB 4. That's good, and I hope it's stable because the current implementation has been janky at best. It does forgot about ARM, Adobe stuff. They are already working on Adobe stuff for ARM. Well, good. Because seriously, that's going to be a big deal. $4.99 from Jose Contreras. Thank you very much. Thank you for answering all my questions. Keep up with the show. This is my favorite show. Happy 4th of July. Thank you. Happy 4th of July to you as well. So waiting on that racing sim. Bought a PC just at the wrong time. 7600K with 3 gigabyte 1060. I wish I could get a good GPU, but they are so expensive. It is unfortunate. VR GIMP. Let's see. Need some careful security since you don't want Spectre meltdown access via USB 4. Well, you'd still need physical access to the workstation, and after the 9 series it's not a problem anymore. They fixed that after they physically fixed it. Use an Intel 2070 MacBook Air, so I'm most probably going to sell this Mac and move to a Windows laptop for Apple. I already have a Windows desktop laptop next to good. Do it. You'll get good money for your MacBook Air for sure. A significant percentage of the purchase price back. They hold value really well. Okay, USB 4 compatible with Thunderbolt 3. I hope so. I'm not going to hold my breath. We'll see. We'll see. I really, really hope so, though. It'll solve so many problems for people. It'll be really great. Web browser of choice. I use Chrome. I've used Chrome for a long, long time. I don't see any need or reason to change. It works, and it just works. I'm fine with it. I have about 20 talking points minus some of the first 15 minutes. Yeah, man. Used is the way to go when it comes to GPUs these days. Yes and no. It's less of a problem with the GPU mining issues that there used to be. People hardcore beating up their graphics cards. But still, if you can buy new. It's not a bad thing. I'm gonna stick with the latest Intel MacBook Pro. Hopefully, it lasts me 5 years. It probably will. Just be careful about updating the Mac OS. Apple tends to bloat out, and your older hardware can't run the newer OS versions. I made that mistake on I have an old 2012 MacBook Pro. It's just before they started soldering the RAM into the boards, and I let it just auto update to Mojave or something like that, and it just tanked it hard. So I had to reinstall back to its original operating system. I can't remember what it was, but then I bootcamped Windows 10, and it worked just great.
I would be worried, honestly, about because they're going down the path of creating the new ARM version of OS 10, and the fact that they're only supporting their store for applications. They're not going to be supporting any applications in the x86, x64 library, even for their own OS. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't start doing OS updates for the previous generation hardware that also takes away that functionality because they don't want to maintain 2 code paths. Yeah. So just be aware. Double check the small print before you do any major updates to Big Sur. I like how they call it. That was the one thing I liked about the demo. Is I was like, that does not sound like a code name that Apple would use. Like Apple's code names usually aren't stuff like that. But it's like, yeah, come on, we'll use OS 10 Big Sur.
Well, it's a mountain.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I never would have guessed that, dude. It just doesn't sound like it. It's like, man, get on over here and use this Big Sur. Use Barnacules Edition OS 10.
Yeah, a rugged stretch of California's central coast between Carmel and San Simeon, bordered to the east by the Santa Lucia Mountains and the west by the Pacific Ocean.
So they have not broken their convention. That is good.
It's like a state park and that kind of thing.
I actually don't. I think it's a good idea that they're moving to ARM though. Like I think from a perspective of future proofing something.
Yeah,
x86 and x64 are played out. Like the architecture is completely played out. Like ARM has so much more potential. If you develop for ARM, its efficiency of computational power per watt. When you start looking at it, ARM just like walks all over x86 architecture, x64 architecture.
Yeah.
So it does make sense. The problem with ARM though is the compiler is so different than x86 and x64. There's a lot of stuff that you have to change if you program at a low level. So if you're and even if you're programming at a high level, it's like all the libraries and everything have to be optimized for ARM. Otherwise, you end up eating up more cycles than you need to, and then it becomes less efficient. But realistically, ARM does fall under the category of RISC processor, which is reduced instruction set. So they are incredibly fast for like what they're optimized for. And it used to be like x64 was optimized for a lot of floating point stuff. Right. Which is graphics now are offloaded to the graphics card. Your GPU now is your number cruncher. Your floating point, high precision number cruncher. So you don't even the CPU can't compete with the GPU. Even a shitty GPU will walk a CPU. Like a fucking NVIDIA 550 or something from 10 years ago will murder a 32 core Intel $1,000 CPU for floating point.
For the parallel computations and stuff. Yeah,
right.
Because that's what it's built to do.
Of course, exactly. It's literally a calculator, right? And the CPU is a freaking abacus. So it makes sense to switch the CPU to something that is less instructions and is more purpose built, and then offloading everything else to the GPU. Because then you use less power, which means that power and that heat now can be transferred to more GPU. Which I think is a big deal, because I think right now we're hitting the limits of what we can do. Like if you have a PC with a 1500 watt power supply, 4 GPUs, or even let's say 8 GPUs in it, you're maxing out the heat load, you're maxing out the power that you can pull from the port, so the CPU basically gets whatever's left. Well, with ARM, you could have a 256 core ARM processor, right? You could have as many ARM processors as you want, do as much parallel at lower clock speeds, less power per watt. And then you could take all that extra power that you weren't using for the CPU, with the CPU even being faster, and you could offload that to the GPUs. And now the GPUs can use more power, which means they can generate more heat. You have more power for cooling. So I think ultimately when you're looking at like the highest level performance you can get for like 3D processing and mathematical computations, having ARM as the CPU and having modern GPUs have more power and more heat dissipation capability, I think you'd get more performance overall. Yeah, but too bad ARM sucks. It doesn't suck. ARM's actually really good.
I've seen some stuff out of like the supercomputing space with ARM that is pretty remarkable too. Like some really really high end performance from like ARM supercomputing.
Yeah, the thing is, ARM
it's pretty cool.
When it comes to computing, power to performance is king. It absolutely is. Intel already tried to do the thing with the Itanium, where it's like they tried to create a server processor that was way faster because it had more instructions, not less, more instructions. And it ended up not panning out very well because you had to build the software from the ground up to make use of all those extra instructions. With ARM, your programming is simplified, right? You might not have the high speed instructions that you'd have on x64, which means it's going to lose in those if it's megahertz for megahertz. You're going to lose in those computational battles against an x64, but you're going to generate a shitload less heat and use a lot less power. So by the time you put enough cores in to do the same workload as the x64's single core is doing, you're still under the heat and under the power. So you're still more efficient. And the ARM cores are so freaking small that you could theoretically put 128 or 256 ARM cores, into an ARM array or a cluster, a multi-proc cluster. Design a piece of software that uses that for all of the really high speed non-floating point mathematics, and then handling memory, memory access, There's a lot of shit the CPU has to do nowadays. Now that you don't have like north bridges and south bridges and shit, the CPU does a lot of heavy lifting. But realistically, you could handle all that heavy lifting with way less power, and then just feed that all to GPUs and just let the GPU become the new CPU. Is what I think we're going to see over the next couple of years. And keep in mind that Microsoft's already doing this, and I just found this out recently. This isn't even something that I knew. Is Microsoft tried to move to ARM around the Windows 8 timeframe. Do you guys remember that? Windows RT? So
sounds familiar.
So when Windows 8 dropped, not 8.1, but when Windows 8 dropped, that was the last proper project that I shipped with Microsoft before they laid me off and the whole test team. One of the things that they did with that project was they built the operating system completely from the ground up for ARM. And the reason that they did that was because of Windows RT. It was a tablet. You could buy a Surface RT tablet that would run for 10 to 15 hours on one battery, had decent graphics performance, and it only ran things that were in the store, though, because it obviously couldn't run x86 and x64 software. It could only run ARM software. So you could only run stuff in the store because everything in the store was written for .NET Core, so it ran on everything. That killed it. That's what killed it, because the Microsoft Store was so shitty. It's still shitty today, but the Microsoft Store was so shitty back then that everybody that bought one, they took it home and expected it to run their software and their games, and it didn't, so they chucked it back in the pool and returned it to the store. Microsoft said, okay, nope, it was way ahead of our time. But they kept banging down that path. Like, even Windows 10 is optimized for ARM. So now they're trying it again. The Microsoft Surface X. If you've seen the Microsoft Surface X, it runs Windows 10X, which is a ARM variant of Windows 10. They brought Windows RT back, which means they never abandoned it. Like, they were still building it all the way through Windows 8, Windows 8.1. They just weren't shipping it anymore, right? They might have updated the Surface RT, but they were no longer supporting it. It was done with Windows 10. They didn't support it, and then the Surface X pops up. So now they're trying to get people on the store again. I think they're having similar results. I don't think people are really liking it because the Windows Store is still really restrictive. And plus, the Windows Store has a lot of apps that it can't run because the Windows Store allows you to download apps for x86 and x64, which, you know, you would guess don't run on ARM.
Right.
So they're hitting that same wall and that same limitations. But if they can get everybody to make software for ARM, so we start seeing that over time, you know, they condition software developers like, you know, Adobe being one of the biggest. Yeah. If they can get Adobe and game manufacturers under Steam, which Steam's had a lot of success with Linux variants. Yeah. And if you can port something to Linux, making it ARM is super trivial. So if you don't have a dependency on the Windows API, like if it's an ANSI C standard application, very little has to be changed to build it for ARM. So now they're getting Steam to go that route, and gaming is more achievable on ARM. And then you got Adobe, you know, apparently Adobe's already skunkworks and working on an ARM variant of their Adobe suite. With all this happening, I think there will be a transitional point where people will be like, you know what, we really don't need x64 anymore. Like it's considered a dying technology when you're looking at it for, you know, performance, power, graphical processing power. You're not seeing a lot of graphical horsepower with the Windows side of things. Like the Surface X Pro or whatever, it's not that great. Like the performance on it is really lackluster. But it doesn't mean that you couldn't take an ARM and couple it with a really high-end GPU, which is what I believe Apple is doing, right? With like their next generation of MacBooks, they're going to have better performance than the previous generation, but using ARM is what they're shooting for. And they're going to be able to share the entire app library with the iPad and the iPhone, which I think is pretty cool. That's literally what Microsoft was trying to do like 10 years ago, and they failed miserably. But one thing that Apple is really good at is watching Microsoft's failures and then learning from them, and then picking the time to come out. So you ever notice that? Like everything that Apple's done, including the iPhone, people don't realize that Microsoft pioneered that shit, came out too early, failed, and then Apple jumped in and stole the thunder. So like look at the Palms, the Palm Pilots, right? You had the compact, you had the compacts, the HP, all these like little PDAs, right?
Yep.
And then Apple tried to match them and came out with something, what was it called? The Apple Newton or something like that? Fucking epic fail. Right. Yeah, it was like epic fail, right? They both failed together on that one. But then Microsoft was like, oh, we're going to pioneer the smartphone. So they create the Windows Mobile experience, which is those little brick phones that ran, you know, Windows CE looking operating system, right? And those didn't change. Microsoft, like, they dominated the market with them for business. Everybody was either using that or Palm Pilot, right?
Right.
But they never improved on it. They never thought they had to improve on it because they really didn't have any competition in the market. And then you have Apple after the Newton failure. Now all of a sudden this iPhone drops from the clouds that's like better than anything else anybody could have imagined, which Microsoft could have easily matched. If Microsoft had actively been developing Windows Mobile 6 into something better over that same period of time that Apple was engineering the iPhone, they would have walked them. But Microsoft already tested the market too early, It failed. Battery technology wasn't there. The life of the phone, the cost of the device, all that shit was prohibitive. So they walked away from it. Apple came and picked up the scraps. Same things with Windows RT. Microsoft's first to create a fully Windows 10, well, not fully, but a Windows 10 compatible, or Windows 10S, I should say. Windows 10S variant, but it was actually called RT. It wasn't called S. But Windows 10 RT, they created an ARM-capable version of Windows 10 that ran on their own tablet, their own hardware. Everybody bought it. Everybody returned it to the store because it didn't run their shit. And now you fast forward a couple of years and you have Apple announcing that they're going to do the exact same thing that Microsoft did. And the reason they're going to be successful is because they've built and vetted out their marketplace and made their marketplace one of the most popular marketplaces on the planet. High quality of apps, high number of apps, good selection. So they're going to survive it. They're going to make that transition no problem. You know, the Adobe, the companies that were the outliers that were kind of screwing them from that transition, they mitigated it and worked it out so that at the time of release, they'd have all that support from everybody and people would be more comfortable with switching entire architectures. Now, what did Microsoft do? They spent all this time creating Windows RT, released it, and never did any of the work to get everybody to come over to it. So everybody just abandoned it. Hey, Recycled, thank you for that $2 super chat, man. We appreciate the support.
Yeah.
He said, "Fi upon click jackets. Click bars for the win." What? I have no idea what you mean, Recycled, but we tried to read it.
Click bars for the win. Yeah, I'm down. I had a chocolate click bar just a little while ago.
Tracy, like, never had, never will have any Apple products. Dude, Android master race, right? People love Android. And to be honest, okay, let's just throw out the real specs, okay? If you're looking at just the pure numbers, Android walks Apple. Like, Android, for number of units sold, number of or pieces of software in their marketplace, not just including Google Marketplace, but all the other marketplaces and third-party marketplaces, way more apps, way lower level support, capability to build, compile, and run software. It's a full computer. You can hook it to a monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, and actually now Apple's been kind of following in Android's coattails. If you notice, every time an iOS update comes out, it's shit that Android's already been doing for years. Yeah, like Apple is trying to get parity with Android.
I love the new iOS 14 that's coming
with the gizmos or whatever, the gadgets,
widgets, being able to. There's going to be an app drawer, and a couple other things like that. And I'm like, that's been an Android thing, since like Android 6 or something.
Yep. Like, dude, I was laughing the whole time I watched that presentation. I was like, they straight up ripped off Android.
That's what kills me is, so my lady uses an iPhone. All the girls do, actually, and I'm the only one on Android. And it drives me nuts that the icons are just everywhere. They're just everywhere. They're all over the place. And it's funny to me because she picks on me because my desktop, my Windows desktop, has icons. You know, I have a lot of icons on my desktop. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Oh, how do you work with that? It's just chaos." And I'm like, "How do you use your phone? How is that, like, what, are you kidding?" It's
like I open up my phone. What is it? Just dense packed icons for like 8 pages. It's so many icons. I don't even click on the icon anymore. I open search.
Yeah. I have one homepage. Like I could have more icons and swipe left and right and stuff, but I don't, because I have the most used stuff either along the bottom. I don't want to show you my calendar, but like, right. And then there's the little sidebar thing that I use the most, and like that's a perfect thing. It's like, come on.
But the other thing with Apple though, like so even though Android wins in all those specifications, there is one thing that Apple dominates over Android, and that is the number of devices versus the number sold. So where Android has like 5,000 different devices that are out there that all software developers are having to develop for different resolutions and have if clauses and else clauses and pragma initiatives and all this shit to make sure that it runs on the majority of the devices, all Apple software runs on everything flawlessly. Right. And the reason being is they have such a tight ecosystem. So it allows them to move forward a lot faster than Android does, if they want to, like, because they have that really, really small, tight ecosystem. The other thing too is that Apple has the fastest single threaded performance on the planet because of their custom silicon that they use, which is basically just ripped off Snapdragon shit. But anyways, like overclocked Snapdragon, but their single threaded performance is through the moon. And when most mobile applications that you're using, that single threaded performance matters a lot. So Apple ends up being the snappier experience most of the time. Like just even on my iPhone 11 here, when I compare it to, you know, like my Razer phone 2 and stuff like that, even though it has a 120 hertz screen and all that extra, like, you know, cool shit and the Dolby surround sound, the Apple experience is much, much smoother. However, I will tell you that Apple has kind of fucked things up over the last like 5 revisions of their operating system, iOS, where some of that smoothness has gone away. There's little hiccups here and there. There's little graphical blunders. The apps, the UI will now freeze at sometimes. You just have to wait a couple seconds for it to unfreeze. This is shit that used to happen on Android that I was very used to on Android, but never happened on iOS. And now it's happening on iOS. So now that I'm seeing that on iOS, it's kind of making me feel like, oh, maybe I should go to Android now. Because now I'm getting the same kind of, you know, the 3 reasons I use this over Android, like, are going away. So because of that, I'm like, you know, and I've been looking at some Android phones, like the Samsung Galaxy Note.
I have a 10.
The 10. Yeah, so the Note's just I think a slightly beefier version of that has a pen, right? It has like a pen in it.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the screen technology on it is, in my opinion, better than the iPhone. The ability to just basically mirrorcast it to a screen with a keyboard and mouse and use it as a standalone computer with a prompt, and being able to actually open up a dev environment, program software, compile software, and literally have a dev environment in your pocket. That's really cool. I like removable media. That's something that Apple will never support. So there's a lot that Android gives that Apple doesn't. But the reason that I stay in the Apple ecosystem for my phone is because I don't use my phone like I use my computer. I always have a laptop with me. I always have my computer with me. So I don't need that functionality for my phone. What I need my phone to do is be a really good media device.
Yeah.
And the one thing that iOS just dominates, when I had both my devices, my Android and my iOS, because I have SIMs for both of them. I have phone numbers. I use my Android as my business phone, and my iOS device is my personal phone. And the one thing I can tell you that iOS just blasts Android out of the water with is the multimedia experience. From the perspective of just posting videos, posting pictures, moving stuff around, editing, just how intuitive and how fluid and how expected the outcome is. It's just so much smoother compared to Android. Android's more capable. Like, I could literally like bust open Photoshop and do like on-screen editing and all that stuff using GIMP and shit. But the iOS experience for just, I need to capture something quickly. I need to post it quickly. I want it to be a uniform experience across all applications. If I have 10 applications that use the camera, I want the camera experience to be exactly the same. Yep. I get that from iOS, and I never got that from Android.
I have to say I've done like a little bit of video editing, like on an iPad, and then I have actually I think I've downloaded every Adobe app that they have available for Android, and that's a big part of why I have the Note that I have. The last 2 notes that I've had was for media editing like that, either pictures or video, and they've done a really good job on both ends with their mobile apps for Adobe. But Adobe has definitely put more effort into the especially iPad apps.
Yeah,
man, like.
Oh, dude, the iPad's like an amazing device.
It's amazing. Yeah. Holy cow! I kind of want an iPad instead of a laptop for that kind of thing.
And now you can, dude, because you can, like, the iPad Pro, you have a pen option that's really cool, right? It rivals Wacom, which is like the industry standard for like developing, you know, with pressure sensitivity and all that. The new iPad is like the text is really close to the glass, so you don't have that glass depth to contend with when you're drawing. You can connect a keyboard and a mouse to it now and use it just like a PC. And again, once they release iOS 14 or whatever for the iPad, it's basically going to work like a laptop, because the whole idea is the MacBook Pro and the iPad are supposed to gain some parity with each other, like the same app library. So you're going to see iPad apps taking on functionality for the Pro, or sorry, for the MacBook Pro, and vice versa. They're going to have to work across that ecosystem. So you're going to see developers implementing the stuff, so it's like you can just grab your iPad on the go and complete your stuff that you were working on your laptop. Like if you're doing dev work on your laptop, open the same dev environment and do some graphical work on your iPad, or go back and forth between them, right? So I think that there's going to be, I think that Apple is making the right bet for their people. The thing that I don't like about it, though, personally, is I am invested in iOS for the iPad and the iPhone only. And the watch too, if you want to include the watch. But to be honest, the watch to me is never really, I don't even put it on every day. It's nothing that has really completed my life. Everything the watch did was something my phone did, and I got used to pulling my phone out. So I noticed I didn't use the watch that much. But the thing with me is I'm always going to be PC for the desktop experience. For dev environment, PC. For edit, and I'm not going to say forever, but because the multi-mon experience, multiple graphics cards, in unlimited permutations, that I love in a PC, but ironically, even though you'd think that because I love that in a PC, I'd love that same trait in a mobile device, I don't. Like for the mobile device, I want it to be stupid simple. I want it to be Fisher Price, right to the point, do the 5 things that I do the most, the best. Yeah. Whereas with my desktop PC, it's the exact opposite. I want it to be able to do infinite amount of things no matter what the complexity.
Right.
So, but now it's like I'm going to be stuck in this weird spot where it's like, okay, now they create this MacBook Pro. Now I'm going to have iPad apps that are rivaling PC apps. I can hook a keyboard and a mouse to my iPad. Am I still going to need my laptop? Yeah. Like, or am I going to just transition into a multi-platform development just on using my iPad and like a mouse and keyboard? Like, I don't know.
Right.
Like, I don't know what the future looks like on that, but I know I'm going to keep my desktop a PC. Like, there's no freaking way I'm going to have my PC be like some fucking ARM-powered Apple device that can only run shit that's blessed out of their store that they take 30% from everybody for, you know?
Yeah.
Which is also bullshit, by the way. that 30% that they're taking to like own the gateway to the galaxy. Have you seen that? Like, that's something that we should talk about like next Tech Talk.
Yeah,
is Apple? Like, go do some research on it, guys. Like Apple, they take 30% of your revenue from an application to put it in their platform. It doesn't matter if it's Flappy Bird. It doesn't matter if it's Adobe Premiere. They take 30% of your revenue. That is an insane.
The initial app purchase. Correct. And also in-app purchases.
In-app purchases. That's right. So 30% of everything. So if you're a company that creates an application that you're charging the user, you know, like what was it? What's the mail app that's been in the media lately? Is it there's a company that makes a mail app for iOS, and they got it approved, and there's a big battle between them. They threatened legal action against Apple, and Apple's like, fuck you, and they came to some kind of agreement. But they're basically paying Apple 30% to download the app and 30% of the $100 per year subscription cost. Wow. So Apple's literally getting like double dipping for this mail app. And the company's like, there's no way we can survive giving up 30% of all of our revenue just to exist in this store. And it's sad that they can do that. But the thing is, there's precedent for it because look, Steam does the same thing, right?
Yep.
But the difference with Steam is just a library that you can add on. You can still get stuff from other places. With the Apple ecosystem, you have no other choice. They are literally, once you go to the new version of not just iOS, you're already tied to the store on this, unless you root it, right? So, but now they're doing that with their laptops and their desktop computers. You will be tied to their store. There will be nothing that will run on your Apple professional device unless it is served through the Apple Store. That includes Adobe products. So when Adobe builds their ARM variant of Photoshop and everything, Adobe's going to have to put their Adobe suite in the store. And I'm sure Adobe's probably already done a licensing agreement with Apple that's like, oh, we're only going to pay you 3% or something like that. But if they were treated the same as every other company, they would have to give 30% of their business. That's insane. When all Apple is doing realistically is hosting their software. That is it. That is it. And I think that's wildly unfair. Wildly. Yeah. Hey, Victor, thank you for the $5 super chat, man. We appreciate the support. He said, my biggest fear with ARM is the effect on the industry as general computers transition to ARM risk. I hope non-Apple computers stay highly customizable. Well, so I wouldn't say that Apple computers are highly customizable to begin with. That's just me. Because already, even though you they drop support for certain graphics cards, the driver support isn't guaranteed for everything. Even though you don't have to download everything from the Apple Store right now, the stuff that you did download, like through Linux and stuff like that, and the third-party stuff that modified the operating system, all that's gone. All that's gone with the next version. So, as far as them being highly customizable, I think if anything, they're going to less customizable. Like they want to tighten the ecosystem even more. That's the purpose of this. Oh, sorry. He said non-Apple computers? Oh, yeah. He said, I hope... No, sorry. I misunderstood. He said, I hope non-Apple computers stay highly customizable. Oh, no, they will. They absolutely will. Like, even if PC... Okay, so even if, like, Dell and HP and everything go to an ARM platform, they're still going to be complete... They're still going to keep that customizability because it plays to their favor. It would be really, really stupid of them to go to some kind of a homologated standard that everybody had to use the exact same thing, because then they would limit the number of companies that can compete to make better graphics cards and things like that. Another thing is, keep in mind that even though Apple's going to ARM, you'll still be able to put probably, different graphics cards in it. I'm sure it's going to be their super subset that they control the drivers for. You're not going to be able to install third-party drivers and stuff. So you're probably going to have to go with their limited set of hardware. But PC won't be like that. Like, even if Windows goes to ARM, like the Surface X, the ARM store is way more accessible, even though it's a piece of shit. The ARM store is way more accessible to get stuff into than the Apple store. The Apple store has way crazier standards and hurdles you got to jump over. And the other thing, too, is Microsoft, because it's always been considered a development platform, In Linux for that matter too. Linux has always been considered a development platform, whereas OS 10 not so much. It's more of a creators platform, like multimedia and stuff like that. You can do dev on it. You can install Xamarin and shit like that. But for software development, most of the software development I've seen is done on Linux and on Windows, not on OS 10. Not to say that it can't be, but I'm just saying from the people that I know in the development world, they usually gravitate towards Linux. Even on a Mac platform, they're usually using Linux or BSD software that's built for their dev environment and stuff like that, just for the cross-platform nature. So I really don't think it's going away. I think that we're going to see, if PCs go to ARM, the big fundamental difference that you're going to see is in the software, the OS availability. Because if it's on ARM, you're going to be able to run Linux. Microsoft. Apple will never sell OS 10. They'll never license that shit. No, so don't ever. Hackintosh is dead. Like, I think that's another big reason why Apple's taken this. I mean, I think it's a secondary goal, but it definitely kills Hackintosh. Hackintosh is fucking done as soon as this ARM stuff starts shipping. It's over.
They're going to control the whole thing. All of the hardware, all of the everything. Yeah, because AMD's playing ball and making specific hardware for them and things like that. So yeah, it'll be
Apple's always about closed ecosystem, always, and they always will be. So, and Hackintosh posed a risk to them. So, and the thing is too with piracy, right? What is the one way you can completely stamp out piracy? Is by owning the ecosystem completely, right? If you can't create a Hackintosh, and you can't run x86 or x64 software, which is the majority of what stuff's built for and compiled for, and now you're on a platform where you're not even allowed to compile and run your own software unless it's at a dev license capacity. Your option is to just download from the store. Apple is basically doing the same thing that like the Chromebook did, except for things running locally instead of through a service for the most part. But yeah, they'll own the entire ecosystem, and there will be a very low amount of piracy. There will not be people building Hackintoshes, so their sales are going to go up on their PCs because people won't be able to emulate them anymore. You won't be able to virtualize it, even though it's ARM software. Good luck trying to get get an OS 10, the next variant of it for ARM running under a VM, because all the VM platforms would have to support it in some way, shape, or form, and they're not going to, because Apple would just sue the ever living shit out of them, unless it's like maybe an open source, maybe it was an open source VM or something on GitHub. That would be pretty funny. So I think Apple's done a really good job of closing down the ecosystem and making this is closed, right? The iPhone is like one of the most closed platforms on the planet. You can root it, you can fuck with it, you can install third-party software and stuff, but it's a chore. It's a big chore, and it's an advanced power user thing to make it happen. And when you do, you lose all support from Apple. Now they're doing that with their PCs. So, and I would guarantee you that sometime down the line, they're going to already do it with their laptops, obviously, and they have already. There's going to be no upgradability anymore. Like Apple's ultimate PC that they're going to ship with the ARM stuff. Because keep in mind, once they go to ARM, they're much more power efficient. You're going to see everything's going to be an all-in-one. It's going to, every computer that they make is going to be an all-in-one. And then the server is going to be the only thing that's not an all-in-one. And the entry price is going to be like, $10,000 or $20 or $30 or $40,000. They're not going to target anybody that would buy that with any kind of intention of being a pirate or rooting it or hacking it. So Apple knows what they want to go after. They really do. We got a couple more topics. Do you got a little bit more time?
Actually, I gotta get going.
No worries, man.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up. We'll pick up on passwords next week. But if you guys want to look ahead a little bit, there's new technology. Let's see here. I'll post you guys the link. It's called FIDO, and it's not the same as FIDONet. We're running out of acronyms.
Yeah.
But this is what we're going to talk about. Basically, a new standard for securing things online. Because quite frankly,
physical security keys.
Exactly. Password is played out. Two-factor authentication can be circumvented using social engineering and some other techniques, right? This is talking about a way to use biometrics and physical hardware to create a authentication loop that cannot be duplicated.
Yeah.
Now, when I say cannot be duplicated, cool. I mean at least for now.
Yeah.
And then the last thing we were going to talk about, unfortunately, we didn't get to get to today either, is Zuckerberg reluctantly changed Facebook policies over the boycott of political stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, they also got caught basically giving away personal information yet again, and it doesn't look like it was on accident in any way, shape, or form. So just keep in mind, Facebook is the devil. I want to go on record, all social media platforms are the devil. but Facebook is like literally the super devil. Okay, like on the list. Can we agree on that, AuxZillary? That Facebook is the super devil out of, like, honestly, like I would say Facebook is rivaling 4chan now. So social viruses. So just keep in mind that if you do business on Facebook, which people do, right? Because all of our families are on there. There's a reason we're all addicted to Facebook, because we're fucking stuck. Yeah. We're forced into it. We've been like cattle corralled onto a truck. And that's the only reason I use it. I hate Facebook, but I have to use it because, you know, I've got the Barnacules Nerdgasm guys that won't come to Twitter. They're hardcore. Their families are there. They will not leave it. It is one of those platforms where the brand loyalty and just being lazy is what keeps their base so large. Yeah. But just keep in mind that Facebook gives zero fucks about you. They never did. They never will. And they will sell every single piece of information they can squeeze from you now and in the future. And every single picture you've ever posted on that platform will be leveraged for their personal gain. Everything. So just keep that in mind, even though most of you know it and don't really care anyways. But trust me, you're going to care in 10 years when that picture that you posted of your kid like playing in the sprinkler in his underwear turns into child porn in 10 years. And then you know, because everything changes, right? It's a moving target, which we could have a whole nother talk. Actually, I'll save that talk for my show over on Twitch. My link is in the description of this one. I'll remember to set it live again after the show. But yeah, just think about everything that you do today. We change our culture, our society, everything changes like every 10 years now. And it's accelerating. It might be every like 5 years, every 2 years, right? As technology accelerates, as do we, as far as what's politically correct and what's not. So just keep in mind that everything that you posted on Facebook 5 years ago is starting to bite you in the ass now. Well, wait another 2 years, another 10 years in the future. It's going to bite you even harder and bite you even harder. And that thing that you posted to Facebook that you thought was completely funny or innocent today is probably going to be blackface in 10 years. Man, so just beware.
That's another thing we could talk about. Yeah. I don't know. It's not necessarily tech talk, but man, the whole cancel culture stuff and all of that craziness has been going on.
It kind of is tech talk. If you think, and the reason why I think it's tech talk is because the thing that's enabling it to happen is technology. Like it wouldn't be able to happen without technology, without the ability to rapidly expand a fire. Basically the pour accelerant on something so fast that there's no way to get ahead of it and there's no way to stifle it. Technology is enabling one person to have a voice that's louder than anybody else's. It's the great equalizer. But that's also a bad thing because it's also the great equalizer when you have bad intentions. But yeah, basically everybody on the internet's getting canceled. For years, people have been trying to cancel me on all kinds of stuff. But the thing is, I'm not popular enough. Like nothing ever gets any traction. Like I've even had people like try to extort me for money. And I'm like, no, just go ahead. Just cancel me. Let's see how far you get. Right. But just keep in mind that that's changing as things move on. Right. There's more stuff happening. But I will say that there's an evil and a good side to it. Because I'm one of those people where it's like, I'm not going to just sit here and say, oh, cancel culture is a bad thing. Because there's a lot of people being canceled that absolutely need to be. Like, there's some shit coming out that I'm like, oh my God. Like, people I looked up to. And I'm talking about the ones where the evidence comes out. I want to be very clear. Evidence has to be there. If there's no evidence, I'm not taking a side in anything. I had people messaging me, telling me I need to unfollow everybody because of allegations and stuff. I'm like, no. I had allegations. I almost went down, because of somebody's ill intent towards me to try to get personal gain. Not going to play that game. But a lot of people that evidence has come out for, I'm like, oh my God, this whole culture is what allowed that to happen. And they literally got what they deserved. So, but I'm seeing a lot of people that are just getting beat up and just mentally destroyed over nothing. What ends up being nothing. Yeah. Even old Justin Bieber's. All right, dude, you got to get out of here. I want to thank the last couple of super chats. Here, Victor, again, thank you for that $5. And Cat R, thank you for that $5 super chat. We really do appreciate that. Thank you for your support, guys. You have a happy and safe 4th of July. Thank you. Don't blow your fingers off.
Don't fall in the water, whatever. Be safe.
Yeah.
Don't die. Be good.
Yep. Be safe. And if you guys, as always, have any questions or something we didn't cover during the show, you want to continue a discussion, come on over to Twitter. Both of our information on Matt Barnacules. We got AuxxZillary here. You can see on the screen right there below our mugs. We're both really active on Twitter. I'd say it's my most active social network. I don't know if it is for you, is it?
Yeah, Twitter and Instagram.
Yep. So just come over and tag us on for me, it's Twitter, for him, Twitter and Instagram, but I'm on if you tag me anywhere, I'm probably going to see it eventually, but Twitter, if you tag me there, I'm going to see it. So long as your account's like newer than one day. Otherwise it'll probably block you because I got sick of seeing all those porn bots like trying to get me. All right. I think that's about it. Don't hurt yourself, and we will see you guys next week. Same bad time, same bad place, 10 a.m. Pacific. You can adjust for your time zone. That's GMT -8, I believe, and depend on daylight savings time. And we will see you then. All right, peace out, guys. Cheers. Let me do a little stream end, and